Welcome back to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, where we were kind of MIA all weekend, but we're here anyway now. It's all said and done. It's over with. It's done. And there's not a lot of carrying going on, but it doesn't matter because we're back. We're here. We're live. It's Monday, the 4th of September, 2023. Payback has come. All Out has come. And unfortunately, so has somebody else come and gone. So without further ado, Phil, proper intro us.
Folks, welcome one and all to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast right here on YouTube and Spotify. And we are having a rare multi-simulcast on Big Bucket Empire, K.O.E Nation, and Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast to bring you the breaking news and the latest developments in this wild, wacky world of professional wrestling. But folks, without further ado, it is I, your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man who makes it the podcast coward, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, and one damn handsome man if I do say so myself. Folks, you can, of course, find me at K.O.E Nation on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, X as well. And also, you can find me and Tony on Hazard Analysis on YouTube and also Big Buckin' Empire once in a great while, folks. And we are here to discuss all of the varyings within the world of professional wrestling. And Tony, let's be frank, sir. The stuff that's been happening off screen has been a lot more compelling than the stuff we've been seeing on screen.
Completely fair. And yes, I'm your 15-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, non-chill filtered, quadruple stilled, Tony fucking G. You can find me at Linktree/BigBuckin and at Tony the Rod on the TikTok. And you're not wrong, Phil. The stuff happening behind the scenes, unfortunately, is much, 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 much more entertaining and dramatic and actually meaningful than the stuff that's happening on the screen this weekend. So yeah, we're going to get into that. Probably more in depth than the actual shows. And there were two of them from two different companies. And I'll be completely frank. We're going to talk about what we actually saw, and it's not much. And we're going to talk about why we didn't see much of it, because there are reasons and legitimate reasons.
Did actually answer a question here this weekend, though. If you throw a body slam in a ring and no one's around to hear it, did it make a noise?
Well, it didn't in my ear this weekend, I can tell you that. But without further ado, we should probably start with something that at least one of us did watch. Should we start with Payback, since that technically happened before the rest of this?
Yeah, T, let's get into the Payback analysis, which let's be frank, what that should really be called is the all-in pay-per-view buy and time siphon event. That's what you could, that's really what it is. It's paying them back for daring to make a pay-per-view on a weekend. Okay. Now I got to say, AEW, after having one of its most successful pay-per-views in all history, demanding to do another one the next weekend and WWE counter programming it. Like, I think they would have probably been just better served letting the fan exhaustion just let nobody watch. But no, we got this.
This wasn't even WrestleMania being 2 nights level of attrition. We're used to AEW being completely fucking inept and forcing a pay-per-view, one of their 4 or 5 a year, onto a major holiday weekend. They do it during Memorial Weekend, and they do it again on Labor Day weekend. Now,
much to the annoyance of us wrestling fans.
Yeah, I've been on record multiple times saying this is completely ridiculous for not just one, but several reasons. Most importantly, people are not going to be around. There's a lot of people that will take this last opportunity to not be at home before the weather turns. And the other reason that this is a major college football weekend. And I can tell you, I watched more college football than I did wrestling. And it's not like there was a scarce amount of wrestling to watch. That's the problem. And especially considering AEW just did this the weekend before with a record-breaking attendance, breaking new ground overseas. They could have just let the sleeping dog lie, kept that date, and been happy with it. Instead, we called it All In as a callback to their first show that AEW did before AEW was a thing, All In. But then we still felt obligated to have another pay-per-view the following Saturday, a week later, for the same price with 3 matches. Let me tell you again. 3 matches. When we did the AEW All In watch along and we looked up what's on this All Out card coming up in a week, 3 matches had been announced. 3. And what was WWE's response to this? Not to point and laugh and say, ridiculous. They have no matches. They have no card. Let them drown. No.
WWE's response was hold my beer.
Yeah. WWE's response was, well, we'll go Saturday then. Screw it. If they're going to go Sunday, we'll go Saturday. Let's oversaturate the market even fucking more. But I will tell you, when I looked at the Payback card, I looked at the card and I went, there's not a match on this I don't actually want to see. None of these are marquee matches, maybe not even necessarily main event level. But I looked at it top to bottom and I said, I would like to actually watch this. And it was not easy for me to do, but I did watch probably 85% of this show. I was in and out on a couple of matches, but I saw this show. And it was, by all means, it's kind of been WWE's reputation from a pay-per-view standpoint. They're not going to build it correctly. And in fact, a lot of the shows leading up to it are going to be largely unwatchable. But the pay-per-views, by and large, are very entertaining and very good quality matches. And this was no exception. I actually enjoyed Payback. I just didn't, it wasn't want to enjoy it like I wanted to. Phil, I know you didn't get to watch. Did you at least get to see any highlights from this show?
I've been in the dark on this T. It's Labor Day weekend. I've been busy. Like, here's the thing.
Right.
Most people go on vacation during Labor Day. For me, I'm a farmer. My entire life, I thought people were supposed to labor on Labor Day, and I've had 2 Labor Days off my entire life. I was out irrigating today. I've been busy as all get out, and I took my daughter to the state fair on Saturday, Tony. So, that last week that people have to do things. Yeah. And so, just awful. Now, I just noticed that, like some of the viewership dropped when I mentioned that. Well, I'm sorry, but this is the unfortunate reality of it, folks. That
it's fair.
These there's a reason they quit doing wrestling on Christmas. It used to be the biggest pay-per-view. It used to be the biggest payday of every territory in the country, but then they had to quit doing it because society changed. The internet also killed that. But gotcha. But so no, I took my daughter to the Nebraska State Fair that day. I didn't catch any of this. I did actually watch some highlights of the main event, though. I did watch because I wanted to see, could Seth Rollins and Nakamura pull off something special? And it was, from everything I saw, a serviceable 3-star match.
Yeah, this was not exactly...
Jim Cornette said, Nakamura was a tin can for Seth Rollins to pad his record to give the belt a bit more legitimacy, the 3rd prize world championship title that it is.
Now, the build for that wasn't terrible, but let's start at the bottom of the card. This was actually one that sold me on watching this, and they opened with it. The steel cage match, Becky Lynch defeats Trish Stratus. I was actually kind of surprised they opened with this, but it made sense to an extent, I guess. The thing for me was there's 2 women's matches on this, and I guess this makes sense to open the show with. But you get the steel cage match out of the way. That's a big stipulation, even in today's standards, because it's visually awe-inspiring still to this day. So that kind of perplexed me, but I get why they did it now after watching the show in full, and I'll touch on that again when we get to that point. But this was pretty good. My one problem is when Becky's a step off, it's very, very noticeable. And she was a step off in this. And it's not like it was her fault. They weren't meshing perfectly together, but Trish looked pretty good. There was just a few spots where she kind of wasn't on point, but for the most part, Becky was on point. They had good chemistry. The spots made sense, except for I don't like it when the babyface tries to escape. Like, you finally get your opponent in the cage, and I hate WWE's rules where you can just ask the referee to open the door and politely walk your happy ass out. I think that's fucking ridiculous. There shouldn't even be a door. If you are going to make that a rule, they should have to climb over the fucking cage. The door is completely useless. I hate it. I really, really do. It has always stuck in my ass that there's even a door in the first place, but I digress. So other than that, pretty good spots. They took a lot of risks using the cage, big falls. It was a good blow off. And this probably could have happened at SummerSlam, but they saved it for this. Fine. Eventually, Zoe Stark does get involved in this match, and it doesn't quite work. Becky gets the upper hand, overcomes the odds, gets the win, and that's the result that was supposed to happen. So it's not like this was something to continue the feud. The feud is over. So I don't know. I assume Trish will be going on her way now. I don't know if she wants to stick around or not, but it was a serviceable match. Maybe 275. I could even argue 3, but I won't. After the match, Zoe Stark and Trish get into it, and Zoe gets the upper hand, knocks Trish on her ass, and it was a really bad spot. Zoe was a step off. Trish didn't take it right. It looked awkward, so yeah, I'm going to include that in the grade of the match, 275, but not bad. I mean, I'm not gonna nitpick it. It could have felt bigger the way they built this feud, the way they developed it, and I really wish they would have given it a better spot. And I hope that doesn't sound like a herd of buffaloes coming out of my microphone right now because there's about 4 sets of feet running around my head. So,
no, we're all fine here.
What do you think about this result, Phil?
Well, it was obvious. It's why I didn't even need to bother. Like, I knew before this ever happened, yeah, Becky's going to win. This is Trish just kind of riding off into the... She might make another WrestleMania appearance or 2, but this is pretty much like... I don't think Trish is going to keep herself in ring shape, like, because that's different from being just in shape. Okay, because she's a personal trainer, she'll keep herself in shape. That's not a problem. But being in ring shape, I don't think she's going to try to keep herself in that after this weekend. And so she'll make an appearance or 2 at WrestleMania, but I don't think we're going to see much from Trish after this. Now, this I did actually hear a little bit about LA Knight and The Miz with I must say, R-Truth's childhood hero.
Yes.
John Cena as special guest referee.
So this was interesting. John Cena was the host of Payback because we needed one, apparently.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Finally, we got a host for Payback.
What would we do without one?
I don't know.
Wasn't Payback the one that they used to have right after WrestleMania?
No, it's Backlash. Because remember, it's WrestleMania, the Backlash. The Backlash of WrestleMania Backlash. This was fine. Cena comes out, cuts promo, gets the Miz out. Miz shakes him down a bit. He plays along and then gets LA Knight out. Here comes the match. John Cena's the ref. It's a big thing. This was good. I unfortunately had a ton of distraction while trying to watch this one, and I wanted to see this thing in full. No distractions. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but this was good. As you would expect, The Miz is a great opponent for almost anybody. He can get a great match out of pretty much anybody, and LA Knight's on fire. It's amazing the way he can control a crowd. And when he does the pointing and they go along with him, LA Knight, and it's just perfectly in sync. Him hitting the move, it's perfect. The crowd is fully behind him, no matter what he does. I've said it before. He would have to come out, take a shit in the middle of the ring, and I think they would still fucking love him for it. And this was no exception.
That poor guy. So how soon until the writers fucking bury him under the fucking floorboards, the Fiend style?
Oh, it's coming like a ton of bricks, Phil.
Anything that gets over outside, because the writers in WWE have really prickly egos. If you get over outside of their writing, they will fucking bury you every time. Like Zack Ryder, he basically had the fucking temerity to get himself over when the writers didn't want him to be over. Another great example, Sami Zayn. Had the fucking temerity to get himself over to the point where people wanted to see him as world champion. So they just needed to try to transfer that to Cody somehow to have him lose at Mania.
Pretty much. Tell me when I'm telling lies, right, Phil?
Yeah, pretty much. Then we got Rey Mysterio. I knew Austin Theory wasn't going to get the belt back, but all right.
Did you think Miz won? Because he didn't.
No, I knew he didn't. Like LA Knight's Miz is a great, but no, like that's the thing. Like LA Knight's on top now, but the minute them writers turn against you, I mean, they're like, there's nothing you can do. Like Doesn't matter how good of a wrestler you are, you can't overcome bad writing.
This was the U.S. title match. Rey Mysterio defending against former champ Austin Theory. They come out, big reaction. The crowd enjoys the LWO gimmick. It's the PWO because they're in Steel City. So wherever they are, they adjust the shirt accordingly. It's kind of cute. Match was fine. No complaints. I don't know how long they're going to go with this. With Mysterio as the champ, I guess I don't see the end game. I assume this is booked this way for some dissension in the ranks of the LWO because Santos is eventually going to take the belt off of Rey. I think that's what they're gearing towards here. So
who's going to take the belt off Rey?
Santos Escobar.
Oh,
because he was originally supposed to get the run with the belt, but he got injured, quote unquote.
No, Tony. Yeah. Rey Mysterio is in the LWO, correct?
Yes.
And he is the United States champion. Is this correct?
Yes.
Tony, do I even need to tell you the merchandising opportunity that they're just leaving on the table here?
What do you mean?
Rey Mysterio, the United States champion,
yes,
one night comes out with a belt as the Mexico champion, just like the United States championship, but it's the Mexican flag, and those things will sell a fucking million of them in their first minute. Okay, like it's beautiful, and make it like the Eddie Guerrero, United States championship, like the previous design, but with the Mexican flag, and make it just beautiful and just pop. And like, I'm sorry, yeah, you're gonna sell a million of those in a minute, but why? Like. Why?
I get it. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And this is probably their last chance to do this with Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. And it's going to sell better with him. But you're not wrong. Match was fine. I just didn't get to watch a ton of it. So Mysterio did get the win. He retains. It just felt like it could have been anybody but Theory because this pushes Theory back down. He didn't need to suffer another loss. I don't know. Maybe they're cooling on him again because, of course, why wouldn't they be? Just another talent we're wasting at this point. All right, so this one I got to watch most of. And
this one I did watch a little bit of it because when I heard the result, I was like, bullshit. Bullshit. Like, what? The Judgment Day is not allowed to win matches. What the fuck is this bullshit?
This was interesting. It was a little fucking convoluted and a little hokey. I'm going to say this. This match, the Judgment Day and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a Steel City street fight for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. This is basically what Stadium Stampede or Anarchy in the Arena should be, not what we actually get. Like, this was a street fight, anywhere falls, lazy booking match where anybody can be involved. They can fight in the crowd, do whatever, garbage wrestle, so on and so forth. But at least most of it made sense and wasn't insulting. And the one spot that worked. So the one spot I'm talking about was the three members, Dom, Finn, Priest, are just kind of aimlessly standing there posing amongst the crowd, eating it up after they've dispatched the duo Zayn and Owens, giving Zayn and Owens enough time to be ducked behind a little barricade and pop up from it simultaneously wearing Pittsburgh hockey jerseys, holding hockey sticks. It was fucking ludicrous. It was a costume change in the middle of a match, but at least it gave the crowd a reason to pop and wasn't just a costume change that's completely and utterly nonsensical, like teleportation Matt Hardy. At least
or Penta,
there was some weaponry involved.
Last week.
Yeah, like last week, which was horrible. The Stadium Stampede last week was fucking horrible. This wasn't like...
It was definitely the worst Stadium Stampede match they've ever done.
This wasn't great either, but this at least didn't insult
the first one was
my
art.
Intelligence. Yeah, it was a fart, yes. So this one surprised me because I watched this after that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get annoyed, but whatever. And I watched, and they started doing some decent spots. I get back to the ring. Balor through a table. Zayn gets the shit kicked out of him. So does Owens. Owens dropped fucking the little lackey that hangs out with Balor. His name's out of my head for the second. Bounces him off the announce table, bigger than shit after breaking up a pin that
Dominic Mysterio.
Then
the little guy, the little lackey that hangs. You mean Dom?
No, he's bigger. He's bigger than him. Then I see Zayn and Owens hit their finishers clean, middle of the ring. The pin's happening. I'm like, oh, there we go. I got up. I walked out of the room to check on my kids who were taking a bath. I came back in the room. Rhea Ripley is spearing Kevin Owens through the barricade. And I'm like, oh, nice. Is there some kerfuffle afterwards?
Afterbirth, as they call it.
Yeah. Was because that was the 3 count. Oh, no. They're still going. There was a kick out. I walked out of the room in my infinite wisdom thinking that was the finish because it should have been. No, the match is still going. I'm like, what? What could this possibly be? Then again, they fucking knock out Finn fucking Balor. Or was it Priest? Whoever, whatever. Clean. Zayn's on top of him. The pin's happening. 1, 2. Dominic flies in with the briefcase, cracks Sammy straight in the fucking head, rolls him over, and the Judgment Day gets the win. Like, you've got to be shitting me. I couldn't believe it. I did not expect that. I didn't expect Owens and Zayn's run to be legendary. In fact, it probably lasted longer than it really needed to anyway. But
I was about to say it lasted.
I didn't think it needed to end here. I didn't know it was going to end here.
Well, who the fuck you put the belts on? Now, granted, like
exactly
because the Usos are gone. They're not a thing anymore. It's if you want to see an Uso match, you got to plug in one of your 2K games from any time in the last 10 years, and I'm not kidding you.
True.
Like,
yeah,
but
surprised. I guess they're technically a team, Finn and Priest. So yeah, this.
So I'm racking my mind here, Tony. Other than who is a predominant tag team at the moment in WWE that you're just like, oh yeah, these guys, you need to put the tag belts on them.
It's not the Vikings. They shit the bed with the Vikings. Gable and Otis don't make sense right now. They're trying to recover the image of the Street Profits with Lashley's pairing, but they're not there yet. And there's really nobody that stands out. There's just not. So
I was about to say, all right, Tony, you could literally
Brawling Brutes, Imperium. I'm not crazy.
No, you could tag Montez Ford with anybody on the roster, literally anyone.
Yeah,
it would literally you could bring Nicholas back, and Montez Ford would give you a 3-7-5 match, even with Nicholas as his tag partner. But yeah, that's the problem. Like the Street Profits, they need some rehabilitation. Honestly, I think you take Montez Ford and team him with babyface Uso because they both know tag wrestling, and you got a monster tag team right there. But yeah, Judgment Day is about the only ready-made tag team you got. It's kind of like Donald Rumsfeld said, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you wish you had.
And I tell you what, honestly, like
and what a military
the Judgment Day for me has been up and down in terms of how much I enjoy them. Like when they were really, really hardcore bad against Edge and Beth Phoenix, and they really roughed them up in that match. I'm like, man, this is fantastic stuff. And then they cooled, then they got hot again, and then they cooled, then they got hot, and it's just been up and down. This felt like now they've got a women's championship, they've got the tag championships, Dom's got the North American championship. I mean, they do have a lot of gold, plus the Money in the Bank briefcase. The Judgment Day actually feels a little imposing now. It feels like they're important. It's not just they're a group and they're there when you need somebody to do something with them. Because
that's kind of what they are, though.
3 fucking hours every Monday. Yeah.
They're a group and they're there, and when you need someone to do something like take some tag belts off of, because like honestly, like I knew Ken and Sammy,
the tag belts are an inconvenience that needs the Judgment Day to step up
and take them off of the main event guys so they can go get back to their main event shit. Yeah. Like literally, Sammy's been treading water since he got those tag belts. And Tony, here's the funny thing. Like, I'm not gonna say that the Samoan first family of wrestling might have done some chicanery to make sure that Sammy didn't get more over than Roman in the long run. But imagine if Ric Flair had like 6 cousins and a couple of nieces and such that were all in the wrestling business at the same time as he was, and that was the 4 Horsemen.
Yeah, weird.
Like, think you don't suppose they're doing some sort of like clickery, do you?
I don't like what you're implying, Phil. Let's just move on.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Where do Owens and Zayn go from here? I hope back to singles competition. Judgment Day. The only thing I don't like about this is
if Roman had his way, Sunday Night Heat, and you're like, Phil, they haven't had Sunday Night Heat on in 20 years. I know.
God. The only thing I don't like about this is that maybe they won't keep teasing the Judgment Day dissension. I don't know. Hopefully they do. Raw is going right now. I'm not following it, but it does sound like they will be debuting a unified set of tag team championships, so 1 belt per person instead of the 2.
All right, I'm going to keep my eye on Twitter to see if we get a picture, and if we do,
we need a picture for sure.
Now, when we do get to the next pay-per-view, we got to start with a certain match because I got a great joke for one of the few matches I saw. But all right, we got.
Oh, God, here we go. Cody Rhodes reveals on the Grayson Waller effect that Jey Uso is now a Raw roster member. This was a completely unnecessary segment on Payback. This could have been on Raw. I don't know what the goal here was.
Eat up some time.
I guess.
Tony, these aren't pay-per-views. These are premium live events. You just have to eat 3 hours.
Next up, the Women's World Title match.
You didn't like that one at all because you know I'm fucking right.
No, it's true. There's no reason to waste any time on it. Like, it was a Raw segment on a premium live event. They could have been on right now, and it would have been better. More people would have seen it. So the Women's World Title match is up next. Now, here's the problem. We've had a women's cage match that opened the show. The uber-talented champion, Rhea Ripley, versus a very large up-and-comer, Raquel Rodriguez. This is one of the matches I wanted to see the most. Here's the problem. The match that preceded this was basically a Stadium Stampede match. Just better. What followed that was a Raw talk show segment. This is as dead of a spot as you can fucking get. I settled in to watch this match because I wanted to see it before. You could not have sucked more energy out of this building. There was no heat. There was no shine. There was no fucking caring. Nobody in the crowd gave 2 shits. And that's not usually the case for Rhea. She usually gets pops. This was as dead could get. This crowd just wanted this match to end.
Unfortunately, like Rhea and Charlotte find themselves as the queens of the dead spot because they're one of the few people that can still get a reaction regardless. Because Rhea, let's be frank, if we're at a live event and it's like, okay, it's kind of bathroom break. I need a bathroom break for main event. And women's title match is kind of no, I would have gone during the Cody interview segment.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
that's what I did.
Like the minute I saw Jey Uso's kind of like, okay, I'm going to take a piss. I'll be right back. But that's Bandit goes, usually you got to see a doctor for that if you got to get a pop. I'm like, oh,
right.
Well done. Bandit pops are crowd reaction. But it's always fascinating when you got to explain. Like one time we had somebody who has no pro wrestling. He was just wondering what we were talking about, just kind of stumbled on us. And we had to explain to them what getting over meant. And it's kind of like in the martial arts, they teach you every time you teach a technique to someone, you yourself learn something new about it. It's like having to explain a pop. Queen of the dead spot. He says, need to see a doctor for that. Well done. Yep. Well, no. Okay. The dead spot, Bandit, is there basically throughout a 3-hour show, the crowd can't just do this the whole time. Up, because eventually you got to give them a chance to catch their breath and then one last big pop for the night, which is the main event every time. The dead spot match is the unenviable match of any card where, okay, they just did this huge Judgment Day thing. Everybody was rocking and roaring for that, and everyone's pissed off. Everyone's reacted, and now they're a little exhausted. Fuck, okay. And then that's when you bring out the dead spot match. And that is the most unenviable position of any card. And anyone who's put in that position is a real, they're the real troopers of the event, the unsung heroes. But it's something that never really gets discussed in pro wrestling, is just how tough it is to be in the dead spot.
How this match played out, it made it worse. It somehow got deader as the match went, because it was a very methodical match.
Oh no.
Rhea's actually more inclined to be the powerhouse in most matches, but Raquel is such a strong woman. She's a very big woman. It made it worse because Rhea was unfortunately tasked with being the agile one against a powerful opponent. So the dynamic was different, which is why I wanted to see it. But in this spot, it made it worse. So it went very slowly and somehow got slower. And honestly, the match just kind of drug on, even though it was a good match. So it was unfortunate.
And Bandit accidentally stumbled on one of the most profound observations in all pro wrestling. Yeah, it is the live event commercial break, the dead spot match. Like, and you know, back in the day, that was when the little people would come out and do their matches and stuff. That was all right, folks, let's give you a minute to take what's often called, in even psychiatry and psychology, an emotional breath. When you've been winding up people's emotions so much all night that you gotta let them take a breath. So,
but this was exactly.
Tony, you remember how well I worked with larger opponents than me?
You didn't.
There might have been one time.
There was a few, and yes, it was. You actually took bumps. You didn't like it. So, so what this ultimately boiled down to was Rhea needed a big, strong opponent to go against and get a W, and that's what happened. He was in a bad spot. There's not much that can come out of this. I'm sure they're going to do more. Maybe give them a little bit better of a send-off match to end this feud, but Raquel's not going to end up winning the title. If you look at the last two matches, Judgment Day stood tall. Rhea defends, Judgment Day wins the tag titles. Judgment Day's got all the gold.
They're really trying to fucking make them legit.
They are. But the problem is, Rhea and Dom off on their own would be fantastic. Priest beating the piss out of Finn Balor to break it all up would be fantastic. I feel like they'd all be doing better. Like, they've all established themselves now. So now putting all the power,
the parts are greater than the whole, which is a very rare thing.
Yeah, so now it's like keeping them together is almost a disservice to them now that they've all got themselves
like
over.
Evolution.
Yeah.
Evolution was a stable
level,
where,
but yes.
No, but it's kind of the same principle where all the individual parts were actually greater than the whole together. And so boy, that's actually an astute observation there, T. Well, we'll see where this goes, because like you said, Ripley and Dom doing their thing off to the side just on its own is fine. Now, here's the thing, Tony. Everybody in the faction having a belt would be a lot more impressive if in WWE between Raw, SmackDown, NXT, you could have 4 factions where everyone has a fucking belt. So, like, that's...
I can do you one better, Phil. I just heard a stat. Different championships have made an appearance on AEW television programming in its less than 5-year TV history. That's not just AEW titles. That's AEW,
all the
Ring of Honor, Japan, AAA,
I was about to say,
Impact.
You can't even be all that just Japan. Like, let's not be specific, because it's been every Japanese. Like, and unfortunately, like, remember when you came over to my house and I'd showed you my 2K university, and AEW was just my catch-all for all the indies. The NWA title was on the show, the IWGP heavyweight, but like, it's just because that's what it is. Yeah. It's the United States, like, it's the United States exhibition of every indie darling that there ever was. Like, Hayabusa really was just, make God rest his soul, he was just born 20 years too early.
Indeed. All right.
He'd have been right up the alley here in AEW. He'd
Yeah.
probably be world champion.
More than likely.
And deservedly. But
let's get
all
to
right,
the main
next
event
match,
of
sir.
this show, because finally, now you brought this up. The main event could have been something special at one time. Seth freaking Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, World Heavyweight Championship. Main event. At one time, Nakamura was a Royal Rumble winner.
And we were
Rollins,
freaking out over it.
Yeah, Rollins too. Like they both kind of went back to back, I think, in
wasn't that the
following
first
years.
Royal Rumble we ever did, or was that the next year?
I believe Nakamura won it in 18, and then Rollins won it in 19. So yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Nakamura was that was the year Nakamura and Asuka.
Yeah.
Oh boy, how things change.
I have thing. So this could have held some water at one point. I actually didn't hate the build for this. I liked the way that they tried to make Nakamura kind of a silent, methodical badass again, and Rollins would get serious at moments, but he'd revert back to wackadoo freaking Rollins with his crazy hair and outfits and weird Joker laugh. So I don't know. Like, it was good at parts, but it wasn't. And then the match finally gets going, and like there was some personal beef here, but they weren't wrestling like there was personal beef. It was just, these are two really good wrestlers who are unfortunately no longer, they're probably kind of both past their prime. I hate to say it, but they are.
Not so. I'm not going to say that with Rollins. I'm thinking he's okay. Here's the thing. Like, there was a great documentary about MMA called Choke that starred Hickson Gracie. And at one point, this young kid was going to challenge Hickson. And he was an undefeated judo fighter. And he was from Japan, and he asked his parents for permission. And the conversation was, so how old's the champion? He's 33. And he goes, and the father goes, oh, he's in his prime. Okay. So Seth's a little past that. So he's just at the experienced side of his prime. So he's got a lot of years left on him. Nakamura, on the other hand, is a juxtaposition. And from what I saw, like, Jim Cornette made this observation. And it's one of those things like, after you see it, you can't unsee it. I think that what they need to do is like start building an emotional relationship with, like, look at Nakamura with the audience. Look at Nakamura playing with his kids. Look at Nakamura, like, get like taking his mama's dog for a walk, or like all that kind of shit. Why? Because every time you see him, he looks like he's in such bad shape, and he has several injuries that are currently hurting. And he's like got that Mick Foley, like Mankind. Like every time you watched Mankind come to the ring, he looked like he was barely holding himself together with chewing gum and duct tape. And you're like, God almighty, is Mick gonna make it through this one tonight? And that was the drama. Is Mrs. Foley's baby boy gonna be able to even survive this match against the New Age Outlaws? Oh my God, what's gonna happen tonight on
Nakamura? It just looks like he's constantly in pain, but always confused about it.
Yeah, he can't figure out which one hurts worse.
Oh, I'm in so much pain, but why?
But where? So Tony, all of our predictions for this show were the exact same. So,
yeah,
you win this one.
Yeah, with this one, I expected Becky to win. I believe you did as well. None of us were picking against LA Knight. I didn't expect him to put the belt back on Theory anytime soon, since they took it off of him.
Well, no, I definitely had Owens and Sami Zayn. So if you had Judgment Day,
I did too.
Okay.
No, I had Sami and Kevin, of course.
Yeah, so it was a pretty much and then I was
retain, and Rollins,
and we all knew who the tomato can here was. So Tony,
unfortunate, but like honestly, again, on paper, I thought this was a much stronger event, and I, not having watched any of the next one we're going to talk about, I still believe that that's probably fucking true. They can probably get more longevity that people will care about out of the Payback results than what we'll talk about next. Tony, this felt like a Payback level event, and that's exactly what it was. It looked better on paper than it ended up being, and that's not to say it was bad. I don't.
It was a house show with one title change.
I give it more than that. I'd give it more.
Okay, I'll give it like, yeah, you're right, about 20% more than that. But like I was, but all right, like, well, T, let's go. Like, before we get to that next event, there was an event that kind of is relevant to this. I think we need to discuss.
Before we talk about the event that probably is, not talked about at all because nobody gives a fuck about the actual pay-per-view itself, because
No,
I feel like there was something that happened. I just can't remember what it was. What happened that I'm forgetting?
Wait, CM Punk was fucking fired from AEW, and like, and now Tony, like, if you ever go back and you listen to Tony Khan's audio,
I got to address this. Polar Knights. How dare you? How dare you? I spent an hour on Amazon looking for this shirt. Looking for this exact shirt because it spoke to me so incredibly. Like this one, I'll sleep on it. I'll visit Vegas in October wearing this shirt. Like, this is an all occasion type of shirt, my friend. It's so comfortable. It breathes so nice.
It's pretty awesome.
It goes with anything. Look, it goes with aviators, a cowboy hat, a championship belt. This is a beautiful shirt, my man. Beautiful shirt. Goes with everything.
Actually, just quickly as a little aside, aviators I've found are the true timeless universal fashion device. Because like I was wearing aviators in my like farm getup, and then another time I was wearing aviators in my suit, and then another time my teenage daughter, she's wearing a beautiful dress. I say, here, put these on for a second. They fucking match perfectly, and even she had to admit, yeah, that works. And then she's wearing like jeans and a Selena t-shirt. Here, put on these aviators. Works perfectly. One set of aviators is universal fashion, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the perfect
and it works
set
for everybody.
Eyewear. Yes.
Now,
what worked for Mr. Punk?
Yes. No. Now, here's the thing. Mr. Tony, if you go back and listen to Tony Khan, not Tony G, but Tony Khan's reasoning, I know, if only Tony G was booking, you just need to step up your Tonys. Okay, Tony Khan?
Well, yeah.
But anywho, Tony Khan
is booking up.
If you were to listen to Tony Khan's reason why we got rid of him audio release, and you had to take a shot of gin or what have you every time he said the term "with cause," you would not die of alcohol poisoning. You would just die of simple drowning. Because it was. Now here's the thing. T, I know what's happening. He still owes Punk a couple $1,000,000. I don't know what the exact number is right now, but he still owes Punk a few $1,000,000. Punk's going to come back and say, I want that. And Tony Khan's going to say, nuh-uh. And the courts are going to end up deciding that. And so that was Tony Khan basically preparing his company for war. And
as he should, because he drew a line and he picked the wrong side.
Well, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying there, Tony. But again, I hate even saying this. I just feel dirty saying this. But okay, look at it from the corporate America lens.
Oh, I understand that.
It's every single time, with the exception of Andrade Cien Almas, when there is some sort of backstage fight, altercation, kerfuffle, or scuffle, it always seems to be one guy is always in the middle of all of it.
Here's the problem. CM Punk is a fucking asshole. Like, he has proven this time and time again, company over company. He is a fucking asshole. He's a dick. He's hard to work with when he feels he's in the right. Nobody's denying this at all. He is very, very difficult to work with when he feels he's being slighted, when he feels he's being told he's wrong and he does not feel like he is wrong. And when he feels like he's being put down by people who aren't on his level. Problem is, he's not wrong about most of these things. It just makes him an asshole. And it makes it that much worse when he tries to tell, no, I am right. Well, you might be right, but you're a dick about it.
Okay, Tony.
I'm saying that as somebody completely in Punk's court. Now, the thing is, you're not wrong, Tony Khan. Something had to be done. But only firing Punk over the latest thing, that was about as chicken shit as it gets, because Jack Perry knew full well what he was doing. And let's be frank, there's a couple of quote unquote EVPs that probably put him fucking up to it. Here's the series of events as we're finding them out now.
That, Tony, that is the 90% likelihood. I'm going to give you a 10% likelihood once you're done. But like, take us
at All In last week on the pre-show, Jack Perry gets his wish because he fought for On Collision. He wanted to do a spot with glass on Collision. Shivani, I believe JR, a bunch of other high-ups said, you can't use real glass. We're not doing that on this show. It's too much of a risk for a stupid throwaway spot. No. And he insisted and was a baby about it. So they went to Punk and told him, can you tell him not to do this? And he did. Of course he did. And it pissed him off. So at the pay-per-view, not even the pay-per-view, the free 0-hour buy-in show, they do a last man standing
today's equivalent of Sunday Night Heat.
Yes. So they do a hardcore match on the pre-show using the windshield of a car in the throwaway match, and he gets cut up bad from it because, of course, he did. It's glass.
Now, wait,
and he slaps the window, looks in the hard camera, and says, that's real glass. What are you going to do about it?
Says, that's real glass. Cry me a fucking river.
Cry me a river. Yes.
Exactly. So what are you going to do about it comes later, folks.
Yes, that's right. You are correct. So, cry me a river. Now, this is a direct shot at Punk, obviously, because they asked Punk to be the face of this problem, and he took that. Of course he did. So, after the match, Perry goes backstage. Punk gets nose to nose with Perry and says, do you have a fucking problem? Which Perry allegedly says, I'm just trying to be a good heel about it. And what are you going to do about it? And that's when maybe a punch, maybe a front face lock, maybe a choke happened, and Punk's 2-0 in locker room kerfuffles now because Perry's a piece of shit fighter apparently as well. Who would have known?
Well,
and then,
Tony, when I heard the hang on. When I heard the what are you gonna do about it out of Jack Perry, Tony, do you remember my little Chihuahua Churro and how much he would yep. And you're like motherfucker, like the Chihuahua always thinks it's a fucking pit bull, and I'm like, Jack, who in the fuck do you think you are? Like, I'm sorry, like. At some point, size does matter. And like CM Punk at least has some fighting training. You can talk as much shit as you want. The guy got in the cage twice. He got the fuck beat out of him, but he fucking walked out of there on his own volition, okay? So he can beat the fuck out of a guy. And Jack Perry, fucking Hollywood's, son of Hollywood's, obviously never been punched in his face in his life. No. If you're going to talk that much shit, like, what are you going to fucking do about it? Punk did something about it. Now, Tony, this is where I'm going to inject some nuance here. I know a lot of people are allergic to nuance in this world, but I'm going to inject some nuance here. The night that the Elite kicked in Punk's door after the event and they caused the shuffle, that big kerfuffle, they were 1,000% in the wrong. Punk was 100% in the right. They basically invaded his personal space. I mean, it's almost analogous to a home invasion. They kicked in the guy's door.
Argument, he invited them in, but they took that opportunity to bust in. And of course, why would he not expect that they were coming for a fight?
But now, all that being said, don't worry, we're not in any episode, folks. This instance, all Jack Perry did to Punk was say words and do an unrelated action that had nothing to do with Punk. And Punk put hands on Perry first. In this instance, no matter how you want to look at it, Punk was the veteran. He should have been the more responsible person in the... Now, back in the 90s, Jack Perry would have just got knocked the fuck out and everyone would have laughed at him. Okay? Like, that would have been the end of it. Like, literally, like, you liked something on Facebook where back in the 90s, Undertaker would have just knocked fucking Perry out, stepped over him to go to his match, and Vince McMahon and all the main event guys would laugh their ass off at him. And that and that's what would have happened in the Just World. Yeah. But again, Punk put his hands on a much smaller individual. Now, the funny is, Tony Khan said he feared for his life.
Well, that's what I was going to say is after they were pulled apart, Tony Khan tried to interject himself, telling him, leave him alone. He's one of my play wrestlers. And that pissed Punk off even more because he can see clearly that this idiot is still backing the Elite locker room. And it pissed him off even more. And he said some pretty nasty things, or some people are alleging lunged at Tony Khan. I doubt he lunged at Tony Khan or was going to hurt Tony Khan, but still. Tony Khan,
but Tony,
retelling
if somebody's
this, saying
trying to grab your arm,
life, come on,
and you even come back like this a little bit, like there's poor motherfucker, like there's cops that like just desperate to get a charge, like if they grab a guy's arm, they just go back like he tried to assault me. Now, I think in this instance, I don't, like you said, I doubt Punk lunged for Tony Khan. Now, we'll eventually see the footage. It's eventually going to get leaked. There's no way that footage does not get leaked at some point in the next, like, 2-3 weeks. And we'll definitely be going over that when that happens. But now, before I get into...
Why would you put these two back to back?
There's that.
I mean, this is all Tony. Okay, I don't care. You're not wrong. Punk was a dick about this. He didn't need to get physical with this. This was absolutely on him. If he threw first, yes, this is on him. His firing is on him ultimately. But Jesus Christ, this is on Tony Khan. All around, above everything, on Tony Khan for not taking charge of his locker room. He had the chance, after All Out, to do this, to take control, to show that he is in charge. And instead of doing that, he strips people of belts and sends CM Punk home. Not the Elite. Not for very long, anyway. So that pretty much told everybody whose side he's on. We knew that anyway. And finally, when Punk comes back, we get a new show called Collision. Guess what? Collision, for a Saturday night show, doing consistent good numbers and actually a watchable program, largely because of this man. Not because of him being on the card, but because of his influence
Collision
on
was
the
just
show
CM
itself.
Punk. Yeah, that Collision was just the CM Punk show because CM Punk didn't want to be around the Elite. So that's literally all this was. So there's no point in having Collision anymore.
Yeah, the show format made sense. And now the ratings are going to fucking tank. Collision's done. Now, here's the other problem. Before All In happened, there was set to be a meeting between Punk, Tony Khan, and the core members of the Elite.
Yep.
And before All In, the Elite called it off. Pissing Punk off, of course. Punk flies overseas to go to All In. Gets off the plane. Nobody's there to pick him up, take him to the motel or whatever. So he calls the number he was given for transportation. Wrong number. He had to ride the fucking subway or some shit to his motel personally. There's pictures or videos of him with fans riding to his motel, getting there on his own because AEW screwed the push. Yeah, I'm sure it was totally an accident, Phil. I'm sure nobody had a hand in that. No, not at all.
Well, here's the thing, Tony. This isn't a personal thing against Punk, but this is a big statement of kind of bush leaguery because AEW doesn't really have people that like move their big stars to and fro. Like Ric Flair, when he showed up to the city, he only knew where to go because he's been in every city in the world 10,000 times.
That's not fair. Punk was the only person that had problems getting to where he needed to be. You can't tell me that's not a coincidence, right? Yeah. No.
There might be something to that. Now, granted, he's only a $2 million employee. Why would you want to make sure he's...
Cancel the meeting that was supposed to clear the air a day or so before the event. They fuck up Punk's travel to and from the show, motel, whatever, making him have to get there on his own overseas. This little fucking dweeb who shouldn't even be on the roster after he started causing problems and refused to respect not only Punk, but the other people on the show backstage telling him, no, you can't do this. We just came out with a letter 2 weeks ago that says you can't do this shit. You can't do this shit. And they asked Punk to step in, and he did. I'm not saying Punk was right for putting hands on it. Now, if it were the 90s, yes, it would have happened that way, and it would have been fine, and things would have been better, and he probably would have learned a valuable lesson.
Now, we'll see what with the footage, like if Jack shoved first.
It's bullshit era. I get why Punk's pissed off to no end. I do. And he's not wrong to be. He shouldn't have put hands on him. But this fucker really asked for it. Quite literally asked for it live on air. And you cannot tell me for a single solitary second that he was not either A, put up to it, or B, currying favor with somebody else. And who might that somebody else be? Well, that might be Matt and Nick Jackson, who, after Punk's termination, went out on Collision and did victory laps in front of the crowd before the crowd was there, to an outpouring of fucking booze, even with no crowd there.
Now,
and
Tony,
where was All Out? Chicago. Who was supposed to be on that show? This man, who's from that city, pretty notoriously. This guy. This was all orchestrated. I'm sorry, but it fucking was.
I 110% agree with you, but I also, and I'm not saying this is true, but I want you to consider the possibility that this might be orchestrated by people other than who you think it is. This could be very well a work between CM Punk and Jungle Boy Jack Perry himself to get CM Punk out of his AEW contract so he can go. You remember the fact that Punk was backstage at Raw just a few short weeks ago, and him and Triple H just tied amends. Everything's all good. All he's got to do is just get out of that pesky contract, and wouldn't you know, shucky darns, at the next pay-per-view opportunity, Punk finds a way out of his contract. And you imply that there could be some sort of orchestration to this, sir? I don't know what to say to you.
I think it's more along the lines of, what orchestration are we talking about? Because it all just seems too perfect.
Yes. So almost everybody gets exactly what they want.
Yeah,
the Elite gets Punk out of their locker room. Punk gets out of their locker room. Jungle Boy Jack Perry is now the hero of the AEW locker room. And I'm sure Punk's locker room. Yes, well, it's a distinction without a difference. But yeah, now that Punk's gone, anybody that was a Punk loyalist, they'll be gone soon. And it's the Elite's locker room. Jungle Jack Perry, expect him to have like a, TNT title run or some shit like that in the future as a reward for getting rid of Punk. And there might also be the possibility that when Punk gets back into Connecticut's locker room, he puts in a surprisingly kind word for Jack Perry to get a
I don't think he'll have to. I don't think that'll happen, because even if it was a collusion in that regard, I think Jack Perry buried himself in this exchange, because he already had the reputation of being a little dick. He's just expanded that to being a complete and utter bag of dicks with this. It's going to be an aura for him now. I'm sorry, but he did himself no favors partaking in this in one way or the other.
Now, he did himself a favor in the AEW locker room
which doesn't mean
if he wants
shit
to go
now.
Anywhere else is not going to mean much.
It means jack shit now, because after 2 years of Punk being there, Punk gone now, Jack Perry's never meant less, and the entire AEW product has no fucking stars. Punk's gone. Bryan's sidelined. Moxley's never looked more ridiculous. The Bucks don't mean anything. Omega's probably got very little left on his shelf life. Jericho's somehow still going when he has a good opponent, and they don't give him many of those lately. So yeah, I'm sorry. And it's not like they've built a lot of great stars. One, MJF. End of fucking list. FTR? What do they do with FTR? Even when they're the champions, they're a goddamn afterthought. And we're going to get to that. But they've done nothing to promote their own longevity. They've only hindered themselves. And I'm guaranteeing you, nothing we read on these results for All Out is going to change that. So let's get into that, and we can circle back to Punk after we read all of this.
Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah, so Tony, like, we're both in perfect agreement that this is orchestrated. This is 100% orchestrated. It's just a matter of who. Okay.
It's a house of cards situation.
Now, Tony, there's a couple of matches here that I actually did watch. I'll be honest.
I'm glad you did, because I fucking didn't.
Yeah, because let me guess, Sunday, were you a bit busy? Now, actually, strangely enough, Sunday was actually a lovely day for me. My daughter and I went to the state fair the night before. We woke up, we went to church, and both my parents came, and they got to see me read from the Bible in church. So it was a lovely day on Sunday. And then when I put my feet up for a bit, I watched some of these and then took a nap. Then woke up and watched some more. And so that was my day. It was a lovely, lovely Sunday. So I wouldn't have traded that day for nothing. But And so, yes, AEW did make up a part of this, but like, okay, the over the budget charity battle royal. No, I did not watch.
The over budget charity. That's a great name. That's just fucking great name.
It's for the whole fucking company. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Over budget.
So this is Chicago, Illinois. No Punk after they fired Punk and after Collision was dog shit.
Did
and
you
the
see?
Bucks insulted the fans.
Time out. Did you see Tony Khan come out, sit in a chair in front of the fans, and just do literally like the South Park? I'm sorry. Oh no, I'm so sorry. And like I am like I gotta give him at least some credit because that's some balls. I'd have been like, I'm going to die. I'm going out in front of the Chicago crowd to say I just fired your hometown hero.
No. This was Roger Goodell coming to the podium during the NFL draft every year level of heat. And anybody who gets that reference, you get it. This was not Tony Khan like having balls. This was Tony Khan trying to, I don't like it when you're mad at me. I wish you wouldn't be mad at me. Please hear me out. I'll change. No, you won't. No, you won't.
No.
So, the Over the Budget Charity Battle Royal. This is straight off AEW's website, which is allelitewrestling.com, because of course it is. The Over Budget Charity Battle Royal! Exclamation point. Winner gets $50,000 to give to a charity of their choice. Thank God this is on 0 hour, and I still didn't watch it. Nice was in the match, gets eliminated quick. Sapenico, Jesus, Menard, Hager, Garcia, Parker, they all toss him out. Aussie Open knocks out Spears with stereo thrust kicks. Oh, I wish I'd have seen that. Brian Cage powerbombs Commander. Oh, what a moment that must have been. And the Mogul Embassy hurled Commander over the top. Oh, what a moment. The boys eliminated Angelo Parker, and then Cage clocked Dalton Castle. Jeez, it's like I'm just saying words. None of it.
Well, I was just going to say, like, all these names, like Commander and Mogul Embassy, like, those are like names of like pesticides and herbicides that like are popular in the agriculture community because they always have like really grandiose, like Mustang Max Callisto, and like really
it's just uninteresting. None of these are special names. Garcia threw Action Andretti over the top rope. The Best Friends blasted Brian Cage with a double choke slam. And Hangman Adam Page, who was getting lots of love from the crowd, knocked Bishop Khan to the floor with a clothesline. Scorpio Sky threw Jake Hager out. This is all terrible. Trent and Page, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people went out. Nobody cares. Cage chucked out Trent. Final three were Toa, Cage, and Page. Page scored with a buckshot lariat to Toa, then sent him over the top. Cage clobbered Page with a neck breaker. Cage and Page battle on the ring apron. Adam Page nailed Brian Cage with the dead eye and won the match. Oh, what do you know? Elite wins. Now, elite.
Cole, we just touched on this, but Cole Latshaw, what's your thoughts about this potentially being a work? I suppose at this point it's unlikely, but the Khan statement expressed being concerned for his life is so no. I think Khan is actually being worked so that Punk can get out of his contract and go to WWE. I think like Tony is pretty sure that Jungle Boy was put up by the Elite. I think there's a 10% chance that Jungle Boy was put up to it by Punk himself to help get, you're helping a veteran get out. And kiddo, when I get back to the big top, I'm going to put in a good word for you.
I don't think it's that way. If Punk wanted out,
like I said, there's a 10% chance. I'm not saying it's absolute, but there's
Punk
a 10%
wanted
chance.
out, he saw the opportunity and took it himself. He didn't put Perry up to it because Perry's a lackey in this regardless. The Elite put him up to all the bullshit. That's why they went out and did the fucking victory.
Poor Perry, you're just a fucking lackey to other people's games.
He was a pawn through and through. If Punk saw this as an opportunity to get the fuck out, since they decided to screw him over for transportation and cancel the meeting to clear the air, and he's like, you know what? I can get out of here, and I can knock some sense in this little cocksucker as I do it. That's what this was. So, expect Punk in the Rumble. We'll talk about that more later. Next up, there is a trios match. Oh, thank God. Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena, Diamante, and Jesus, the women's. Versus Sheeta, Sky Blue, and Willow Nightingale. I'm not reading any of this.
I did the Jim Cornette. Somebody flicked their hair wrong on the way to the ring, and I just...
Yeah, no. Sky Blue pinned Diamante after hitting the code blue! Exclamation point. Well, that's great. So Sheeta, Sky Blue, Willow Nightingale beat Ring of Honor World Champion Athena, Diamante, and Mercedes. I'm sure it was fine. There's some talent in this match. I'm still not going to go back and watch it. Could not care less. Good God, are we still on 0 hour?
No, I think it was over after that. I think it was, they got to it right after the Battle Royal. But no, keep going, because this next match, okay, the Acclaimed.
Oh, they just won this a week ago. The Acclaimed, the champions of the Trios champions, Bowens, Caster, and Daddy Ass with
Dennis Rodman, which was, fucking the Rodzilla came down to the ring. I'll get into that. Now, Tony, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Singh with Sanjay Dutt and Karen Jarrett. And Tony, when I watched this match, I have to give credit because Karen Jarrett did the thing that she does best: help Jeff Jarrett cheat. Yes, she just done, Karen.
Let's be frank. Jeff's probably better at helping Karen cheat.
It's mutual, but unfortunately, with this, also she will let you down when you need her most.
All right.
But
let's get into it.
No, Tony, with that, Kurt Angle might actually be a fucking guest on this show.
Fair. Daddy Ass said he had his own referee and called out Aubrey Edwards because you need a special referee that's already a referee. Bowens dropped the scissor me timber on Jeff Jarrett. Lethal tagged in and stomped a mud hole in Caster in the corner. This is AEW's own website. Again, let me just make that perfectly clear. Bowens clipped Lethal with a series of thrust kicks. Gunn tagged in, cleared house, still running to the boot from Singh. Aubrey was ejecting Karen from ringside. Rodman smashed Jarrett's guitar over the head of Satnam. Bowens hit the mic drop and Lethal and pinned him. That was the end of 0 hour.
What a main event.
Wow.
Like when I heard Rodman was in, like, okay, I'm watching this. And then when I see Karen Jarrett constantly helping Jeff Jarrett cheat, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, yeah. I could just imagine like Kurt Angle being like, yeah, that's exactly. Sorry, the joke.
I love Karen. I absolutely.
She's a great personality, but Tony, I'm sorry, that joke wrote it fucking self. Okay,
it was
someone needed to pluck it out of the sky because it's one of those jokes that just someone needs to get.
Karen was one of my absolute favorite personalities in TNA. She was so fucking perfect for that era of TNA. It was incredible. She was perfect, and she's still pretty damn good. I love watching Karen. I would watch it for her before I watched it for Rodman, if I'm being honest. So, the pay-per-view portion of this show kicks off with the ROH World Tag Team Champion. Oh, look at this. Adam Cole and MJF against the Dark Order's Alex Reynolds and John Silver with Evil Uno. Well, I got excited for a second.
Yep, and that was kind of like this one. I watched the highlights because, fuck. It's
the world champion.
People. The Dark Order, champion. I never care about. I don't ever care about the Dark Order. Like, remember the first AEW show and they show up and everybody's chanting, "Who are you? Who are you?" To this day, I still go, "Who the fuck are any of you?" Like, why? Like, Evil Uno is the most famous member of that group, and that is fucking saying something.
So, I just want to make it clear. The world champion of AEW is on this show in the opening match of the pay-per-view, not defending the world championship. And there's only one now since we just fired the one that had claim to, the other world championship. Just wanted to point that out.
Just a little point out there.
Yeah, just going to open the show with him. I'm not reading all of this because why would I?
No.
Maybe I better. MJF got his neck banged up on the Dark Order blindsided MJF. Paul Turner didn't see it. Doc Sampson examines MJF on the floor. It appears they've taken MJF out of the equation, says Excalibur. I'm sure he said, it appears that they've taken MJF out of the equation. So the Dark Order had Adam Cole to themselves and used the tandem offense on him. Cole went up for a Panama Sunrise on Silver. Silver avoids it. Silver led up Cole with a vicious kicks and followed up with a Fisherman's Buster for a near fall. Dark Order smashed Cole with a double clothesline. Silver grabbed one of the tag titles. Evil Luna distracted the ref, and it didn't matter as Cole served up the super kicks in a last-ditch effort. MJF came back to the ring holding his neck, and he fought through the adversity to assist his best friend, Adam Cole. MJF chomped on Reynolds' forehead. MJF clobbered the Dark Order with a kangaroo kick. Better than you, baby. Hit the double clothesline on Reynolds, and Cole scored the pin. So they win and retain their ROH tag titles with a double clothesline on the Dark Order in the opening match of a pay-per-view. There you go. That's your world champion. Your world champion.
And then a match I didn't watch. I'm sorry.
Well, big shock.
Samoa
big
Joe
shock.
versus Shane Taylor. Because
I know
Tony,
you're a
you
big
know
Shane Taylor, Mark.
And I'm just, you know how much of a fan of Samoa Joe I am.
So as Joe was making his way to the ring, he shoved MJF, who was still on his way out. MJF sprinted back to the ring and began to brawl with Joe. All right, this is kind of cool. Joe locked MJF in a guillotine choke until the security separated the two. Okay. All right. I'm in. That's
now,
cool.
I think I
like
know
that.
what, like, when you said, like, Phil, you seem to hate wrestlers that, like, resembled your style the most. Because, like, now Joe would be, like, if I were to, like, still be getting, like, all right, I'm a big chubby
You
guy.
had a tan?
I also got some
Joe.
MMA stuff, so my finish is the rear naked choke, and that's it. Because I take no bumps doing that. It's fucking awesome.
Maybe more parallels to you and Joe that you want to admit there, Phil?
And my version of strong style would be once in a while I'd do a working version of a few tie kicks once in a while. And that's strong tie. No, I'll make sure that they're working. You know, like this, but you know, like
well, you'll certainly try. So Shane Taylor dropped Samoa Joe after some stiff shots. Joe pulled Shane out of the ring.
Oh, you could hear the snap. Phil didn't slap his leg.
They slugged it out at ringside. Back in the ring, Taylor splashed Joe for a near fall. I'm sure it wasn't. Joe cracked Taylor with an elbow suicida. God, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Joe used a Manhattan drop, followed it up with a running senton. Joe jabbed away at Shane Taylor, but Taylor countered with a short arm clothesline. Kevin Kelly says this isn't boxing, but it has a big fight feel. Thanks, Kevin. Shane Taylor rocks Samoa Joe with a hanging stunner. Okay. Taylor splashed Joe off the middle ropes, near fall and champ. Taylor crumbled after a lariat from Joe. Taylor rallied back with a body shot. Joe overwhelmed Taylor with knee strikes and then locked on the submission to force Taylor to tap. All right. Joe retains. Big shock because
he's the king of TV,
clue who Shane Taylor was before, and I still don't now because I didn't watch this.
Now, TNT, I did watch some of this, and Tony, only you'll get this, but Warlock Lord versus Reload. Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin. Yeah.
Fuck, wow. Oh, look at this. Jim Ross joined the booth for this match. Why? Fuck, why? Oh, no.
Now, here's the thing. This was about what you expected. Luchasaurus pretty much threw around Darby, who was milking his back injury. Now, him swinging Darby into the steps looked fucking bad. Like that one was where I kind of like did the old ECW, like, because that was the appeal. Oh my God, did this person almost die of something? Like it was this weird car crash stunt show. But I will let you get into the officials.
Yeah, Luchasaurus put the steps on Darby's back and walked up them, putting all of his weight on him. Nick Wayne lifted the steps off Darby, but the damage had been done. Back in the ring, Source hits Darby with a huge overhand chop, headbutts Darby on the chin. Damn, it's getting ugly and it's getting uncomfortable, says Jim Ross, who's trying not to shit all over things. Somehow, Darby mustered the strength to do a somersault off the top turnbuckle onto Luchasaurus onto the arena floor. Back in the ring, Darby hits a crucifix bomb for a near fall. That's pretty impressive, actually. Fans rallied behind Darby, as they would expect them to. Luchasaurus caught Darby and suplexed him. Christian Cage wanted Nick Wayne to toss in the towel. Darby rocketed out of the ring with a tope to Christian. Darby smashed Luchasaurus with an avalanche, code red for a very near fall. Cage whacked Nick Wayne with a chair. Darby saw it and got distracted. Luchasaurus seized the moment and hit Darby with two tombstones, then a lariat to the back of the head. More than enough to score the pin. Big shock. So it took two tombstones to beat a guy literally half the weight of the Yeah, okay.
Maybe
Wow,
less.
impressive Luchasaurus victory, says Jim Ross. Chris Cage gets in the ring, sets up Darby for a concerto. Luchasaurus held Nick Wayne back. Locker room ran down, intervenes to stop Chris Cage. Jim Ross, Darby Allin dodged hell of a bullet. My heart was in my throat, added Excalibur. This looks like a crime scene, says Nigel.
It looked
Like
a
I'm there.
little. There was a little bit of blood there.
Okay. So I'm looking at this. I'm trying to remember who my picks were, but yeah, I had Joe. I had Better Than You, Baby, and yeah, I had Luchasaurus. So far I'm 3 for 3 on the main card. Perfect.
I had Darby.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to see that, and I also, well, we'll get to that later. This one I just said Miro because I didn't care.
Yeah, I think I said Miro as well. I can't remember. I'd have to check the text. Redeemer Miro versus Powerhouse Hobbs. It's two big boys. Excalibur said it better than anybody. The two big sweaty men slapping meat in the matches lived up to those expectations.
Excalibur was like the big Phil Boski on commentary. He could somehow find a way to make a good match bad.
Don't say that about the big Phil Boski, Phil. That's just rude.
Okay, that's true. That's pretty mean.
Miro nailed Hobbs with a thrust kick for a 2 count. Miro stomps Hobbs' lower back. Miro applied the game over submission. Hobbs escaped, rising up, squashing Miro into the corner. Hobbs blasted Miro with a spine buster for a near fall. Miro answered with a spine buster of his own. Hate back-to-back spots like that. Miro locked in a game over for a second time, and Hobbs taps out. Hobbs ran out of options, said JR. One of the best big men matches I've ever seen, and the fans are giving us a standing ovation, says Nigel. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. Why am I wearing a mask? Said Excalibur. Not really, but probably. Hobbs and Miro shook hands after the match, and Miro turned to walk away, and Hobbs blindsided the Redeemer. Hobbs grounded and pounded Miro. Miro's wife ran to the ring and cracked Hobbs with a steel chair. Hobbs was distracted, and Miro grabbed the chair and smashed it into Hobbs' head. Miro walked away without embracing his wife. What?
No, they're having trouble, Tony. He did not embrace his wife.
This is their debut. She's never been on AEW before, and this is how
they're just getting right into the problems because
it went so well in WWE when she was fucking Bobby Lashley and Miro was wearing shirts like me. What the fuck? This is the debut of Lana. What the fuck? Neither of these guys should have been in this match because both these guys shouldn't be losing right now. Everything I just read was fucking stupid.
Now, I think when Hobbs grounded and pounded Miro, I gotta say, when I got into MMA, the term ground and pound kind of means something different to the outside world that's not in the mixed martial arts. Like they have a different image in their mind, I found. But all righty, we got the TBS.
Not Jade Cargill, unfortunately.
I know.
TBS championship.
She lost the belt and just said, fuck this business. And boy, do they need her back. Holy shit.
Yeah,
because she was the only thing, literally, unfortunately, she's got personal life reasons. But she was literally on the trajectory to be the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Female Wrestler of the Year, which would have been would have been the highest honor of anything, but is what it is. We'll have to see where that ends. Thus far, you'd be hard pressed not to give it to Rhea. Just thus far. Now,
yeah.
We'll have to. The year isn't far from
almost
over.
By default, though. Unfortunately, that's the problem.
We can get into that. Let us know, folks, who are your front run in the comments. Let us know who your current front runner is for female wrestler of the year and male wrestler of the year, for that matter. And I'm sure Tony and I won't be able to talk about wrestling about that.
And I'm sure 3 of the women in this match will be just the first names on the list. Chris Statlander, the champion of the TBS Championship, versus Ruby Soho with AEW Women's World Champion Saraya.
Destination now, Ruby Soho. She's named after a pretty nice punk song by Rancid, but it's
So yeah.
Why is nobody ever giving her any shit about that? Like, I figured
They
Rancid
like
would
to
be
sing the song, Phil.
I
That's the
want
whole
more
point.
check. Like, why isn't Rancid ever come like, where's more check? Like,
oh, they got a check from Tony Khan. That's not a problem.
True.
He paid him handsomely, just like he paid for fucking Jungle Boy's music. So this starts out. Chris cracks Ruby with a running knee strike. Chris whips Ruby into the guardrail. Ruby rallies back, ramming Statlander set into the guardrail. Saraya hammers Chris with shots behind the ref's back. Oh no. Chris nails Ruby with the backbreaker, falls up with a blue thunderbomb for a near fall. Chris walloped Ruby with an avalanche power slam for a near fall. Ruby nails Chris with a poison rana, a DDT, and then a low hurricane rana for a 2 count. Ruby smashed Chris with a no future kick, and then destination unknown for a near fall. Saraya distracts the ref while Ruby grabs a can of spray paint. Tony Storm crawled out from beneath the ring and took the can away. Statlander spikes Ruby with the Sunday Night Fever and pins Ruby Soho. Dissension amongst the whatever the fuck their shitty group's name is. The Outcasts. Yeah. Tony Storm's all pissed off.
No.
Ooh. I didn't watch this match, Phil, and I'm guessing you didn't either, but I'm going to go ahead and give this 2.25 stars.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I probably am. Excalibur says, when have we ever seen such dissension among friends? Only in every segment, because that's what this fucking promotion is based on. Every feud based on friendship. Every feud. Every fucking feud.
Well, Tony, the thing is, the best tag teams are the ones that eventually discover, just like every episode of SpongeBob SquarePants or every anime ever, the power of friendship.
Let's just recap real quick. The trios match. Oh, it's a bunch of girls, and they suddenly became friends to take on 3 other friends. The trios match. Oh, the Acclaimed and their buddy Daddy Ass versus Jarrett and his wife and his friends. And then the ROH World Tag Team Championship, the best friends of the friends that can ever be bestie best friends, MJF and Adam Cole versus the Dark Order, who's just super friendly, best friendy. These guys have been friends to the end, friends. And then the oh my God, an actual wrestling match, but you hated it because Joe was in it. And then the Luchasaurus match with his friend Christian Cage, and Darby Allin had his friend Nick Wayne there. And then we got into the Redeemer, who had his wife show up. So not just a friend, but his wife as well. And
that's very friendly.
And that's very friendly. And then we got into Statlander versus Ruby Soho with her friend Saraya. And then their other friend, Tony Storm, showed up and wasn't very friendly at all. So what's up next? What's up next?
Absolute.
Fuck me.
Ricky Starks versus.
This was on the show?
Yep. This was actually pretty good. Now,
I would have watched this.
It was supposed to be
what the fuck?
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Ricky Starks.
Yeah, what the fuck?
But obviously they pulled out the 73-year-old and had Bryan Danielson. So they didn't even advertise at the main event.
So,
well, what should have been the main event.
Let me get this straight.
The best match on the show wasn't advertised.
They got Bryan Danielson back from injury, and they didn't advertise it on a show that a week ago had
needed some fucking star power.
Yeah.
People knowing that Bryan Danielson was going to be back would have been really fucking helpful for this particular show. Don't you think, T?
I want to ask again why.
I might have actually watched it before it happened.
Yeah, I may. Yeah, this could have been the tipping point for me to order this thing. But no, 3 matches a week ago, and they fired CM Punk, and they wanted me to buy this show, and they didn't advertise this match.
And they didn't deliver on the one that they advertised with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Fantastic. Well,
now,
I'll
granted,
actually read this
I'm
one.
not angry that they didn't put Ricky the Dragon Steamboat
No.
At 73. I'm angry that they fucking advertised that they were going to put Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in the ring. Except, like, seriously, T, I would have been angry as all shit because, like, that's one of those things like, okay, dude, this is the last time we're ever going to see Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go to this, man. Maybe we'll go live to this. If this is going to be the last time you're ever going to see fucking Ricky the Dragon in the ring. And then they just fuck you out of that. Like, so like Jim Cornette said, I am shocked they did not set the seats on fire. in that building.
Yeah,
like,
this
because
is
they got fucked. Oh, and did you see how half the arena was empty, and they had to shoot around that?
God.
The
Can't
hard
imagine.
cameras, the hard
Wonder
camera side
fucking
was
why.
empty. The
Golly, could it
entire
maybe be because they fired the hometown hero CM Punk days
No.
before the pay-per-view that they didn't have to have in Chicago? I digress. No
It might have
DQ
something to do with that.
strap match. Absolute Ricky Starks versus the guy we've seen in a strap match, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson.
Well, I had Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in this, so
Yeah, I think I had Starks because, duh.
Well, I was like,
If it's
no,
Starks
fuck off.
versus Steamboat, it's gonna be Starks.
No, fuck
What
you. I
the
wanted to
fuck?
see Steamboat get a W.
Well, that'd have been
And,
great, but no, that's
and
not
then
gonna happen.
I would be okay with Rick coming back one last time for him and Steamboat in a tag match. Let Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett be the tag partners, and yeah.
So the advertised match that was barely advertised didn't fucking happen. Bandit, based on friendship. What is this? Yes, no, literally. this fucking promotion, their best idea for 90% of their feuds and angles and storylines are all, you're supposed to be my friend, but you're being his friend. And that's not being a very good friend, man. And rinse and repeat. So this match would have actually changed that curb, and I would have actually liked to have seen this. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat instead joins the commentary booth for the match. A lot of description before that. Starks attacks Danielson before the match. Starks whips Danielson with a weight belt. Starks targets Bryan's head and hit him with a... That's probably the best course of action. Yep, target Bryan's head. Hits him with a buckle of the belt, busting him open. Starks stomps Danielson's head. Perfect. Let's do that.
Keep on,
Sandwiches it on the steel ring steps. Jesus fucking Christ. Starks used a strap around Danielson's throat.
Remember when we would freak out when Kofi Kingston would stomp Bryan's head a couple times?
Yes. Jesus Christ.
I was just doing this most of the match.
Oh,
like, we don't need to do that. That wasn't necessary. This is a strap match.
Stark and fired off the round kicks. Starks walloped Bryan on the side of the head with a strap. Danielson rallied back and whipped Starks on the back over and over. Danielson knocked Starks to the floor with a sliding drop kick. Bryan was going to jump out of the ring, but Starks countered by clocking him with the strap in the head, I'm sure. Danielson pulled the slack out of the strap and pulled Starks headfirst into the steel ring post. A lot of head injuries. Danielson charged at Starks, but Starks turned Bryan inside out with a lariat. Bryan and Ricky nailed each other with a strap. Big Bill, great name, came down to the ring and jumped on the apron. The Dragon pulled Big Bill down to the floor. Danielson jumped off the turnbuckle and wiped out Starks and Big Bill. Back in the ring, Starks speared Danielson for a near fall. Starks grounded and pounded Danielson. Danielson got to his feet and nailed Starks the clinging knee strike. Fans chanted, "This is awesome. This is awesome." Danielson stomped on Starks.
Because they finally had something worth watching.
The label block. Daniel took the strap and wrapped it around Starks' throat, pulled back, and Starks lost consciousness. Bryan
it was
Danielson
a hell of a visual. Like, Starks' face turned purple.
Bryan Danielson returns from injury and defeats Ricky Starks, says Excalibur.
But yeah, like I said, that was a very compelling visual because Stark's face turned fucking purple. Looked like his eyes are gonna pop out of his fucking head. Like it looked like Bryan's Danielson might have been a little snug on that choke.
This was supposed to be Ricky Starks and CM Punk. That's what this was. This was supposed to be Starks and Punk, and then Ricky the Dragon Steamboat filled in for Punk until they decided to do the bait and switch with Bryan Danielson.
So they replaced the Dragon with the American Dragon, basically.
So, the Dragon replaced the Backroom Dragon. So anyway,
and there was a beautiful, some beautiful imagery of
Starks, who's had 3 opponents in the last, 5 days for being able to put on a good match. I'm going to give this one a 3.75 for sure. Maybe 4. And watch it.
Do you think I watched this match, Tony?
I think you caught like 30 seconds of it.
Of the entrances, and then I saw who's coming down. Now, the Blackpool Combat Club, that was kind of neat. Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler
This is
Yuta.
the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Open Weight Champion Eddie Kingston and Ring of Honor Pure Champion Katsuyori Shibata. What a fucking mouthful.
I was
Versus,
going to say that 3 times fast.
God damn, versus the Blackpool Combat Club Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli and just simply Wheeler Yuta. Oh, that poor bastard didn't have an asterisk in front of his name. Taz joined the commentary team for this match. Thank God. I'm not reading this.
I didn't watch it because it had Eddie Kingston.
I'm not reading this.
I couldn't no.
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston's decent on the stick, but
Claudio took down Kingston with a short arm lariat. Claudio used a hammer, an anvil strike, followed by neutralizer for near fall on Kingston. Eddie knocked down Claudio with a spinning back fist. Kingston rocked Claudio with a Northern Lights bomb, but Yuta jumped in to break up the pin, and Claudio wrecked Kingston with a European uppercut and pinned a stunned Kingston. I believe I had the Blackpool Combat Club in this one, so yay me. You give a fuck about that match, Phil?
There was no explosion that Kingston ended up selling. Yeah. I think that's one of those things that'll just always stick with me. It's like Kingston sold it, even though there was nothing there.
Kingston sold it, and Excalibur on the booth sold it, which made it visually amazing. Sparklers. Oh my God! Just incredible. Incredible. The cleaner, Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Take a Shit. Takeshita.
There we go. Takeshita hit a drop kick on Omega. I'll let you read it. Old
Takeshita followed up with a high angle backdrop driver outside the ring. Omega used a moonsault off the barricade on to Take a Shit. Omega jumped to Take a Shit with a springboard drop kick and followed up with a face dunk. Omega applied an Indian deathlock to Take a Shit. Outside the ring, Take a Shit spiked Omega with a brainbuster on the floor, but Take a Shit distracted the ref Paul while Don Callis piled chairs into Omega's injured midsection. So Take a Shit splashed Kenny with a senton. Take a Shit wiped out Omega with a blue thunder bomb in the ring. Take a Shit dropped Omega with a forearm shiver, and Take a Shit attempted to senton, but Omega countered by raising his knees. And Omega smacked Take a Shit with a Polish hammer. Take a Shit charged at Omega with a jumping knee, and Omega moved and used a suppository momentum to Take a Shit, spilling out of the ring and onto the bathroom floor. Omega took flight with a Terminator dive straight into the urinal. Omega blasted Take a Shit with a missile drop kick, and it blasted all over the sink. Omega followed up with a Snapdragon suplex, and Omega stuck Take a Shit on the back of his neck, but tried to wipe it off, but couldn't quite get to it. Needed help from the janitor, also known as Don Callis. Omega spiked Take a Shit with a reverse hurricanrana for a very near fall. Take a Shit dodged a V-trigger, but Omega scored with a second attempt. Take a Shit swung for the fences with a lariat to Omega. Took a couple of fiber pills when Kenny powerbombed Take a Shit and then cracked him with a knee strike. Bang! Omega connected with a V-trigger. Take a Shit countered with a one-winged angel. Wait, that's Kenny's move. Take a Shit got a near fall with a deadweight German suplex on Omega. Omega hoisted up a Take a Shit and began climbing up the turnbuckles, carrying the weight of taking a shit. Omega was looking for an avalanche one-wing angel, but Take a Shit just escaped and dropped bowel everywhere. Take a Shit rocked Omega with an avalanche blue thunderbomb for a near fall on Omega. Man, I don't know. This Kenny Omega's made out of something special, said Taz. Take a Shit scored with a power drive knee right on target, right down the center of the John. Take a Shit distracted the ref while Callis tried to clean up some of Take a Shit's mess. Omega with a screwdriver. Omega dodged it. Omega nailed Take a Shit with a V-trigger. Omega lifted up Take a Shit for a one-winged angel, and Take a Shit had a screwdriver, but ref Paul Turner saw it and said, "No, you need to wipe," and he pulled it away. Take a Shit removed his knee pad and decimated Omega with a knee strike, and then pinned Kenny Omega. We just found out that Kenny Omega's limited, said Nigel. Yes. Taco Bell might be open late, but it is not great, says Tony G. And you should always take a shit when you're in the vicinity of the facility.
I learned so much, Tony. We all grew.
Now, to be completely frank and honest, I may have made fun of that entire match, but I actually did want to see that. Takeshita, pretty goddamn good. He looks good. This is probably his best match to date, not just win. This is a big moment for him. Takeshita needs a win like this, and if they do it right, if they keep Callis as his mouthpiece and they keep him looking imposing, keep him looking dominant, make him a scary individual, they could go somewhere with him. He's got a lot of potential, not just potential, the current honest to God work rate. But I know damn well they're going to screw the pooch because when they turned him heel, they just made him another guy in a group. And that's been the problem. And that's what Kenny Omega has been. And that's on him on his own. He made himself another guy in a group, even though he was an elite star and a real elite star, not just by name. So I don't know. I like this. I like the concept of this match.
He's bringing the smoke.
I like the concept of this match, but this is one of the matches I was like, I could buy this pay-per-view to see this match, but this doesn't sell it for me. Now, had you told me Starks, Brian Danielson, there's two big reasons to buy this show.
Okay, Brian Danielson versus anybody in a strap match would have sold the show. Like Brian Danielson
Jesus
versus
Christ.
Samoa Joe or Powerhouse Hobbs, I would have watched.
Off the heels of Bray Wyatt dying and us seeing a Brian Danielson strap match live. Like, come on.
With the Fiend.
Promote that. Fucking promote
for
that.
Okay, Tony. Like, remember how we used to brag about seeing The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar live at that house show in Lincoln for the Undisputed Championship? Okay, and like, that's a fucking flex brag on any pro wrestling fan. In about 5-10 years, the fact that we saw The Fiend versus Daniel Bryan in a strap match at Royal Rumble live for the Universal Championship is going to be, back when there was just back when that was it. That was what folks were after, the Universal Championship. Brock had the world title in the main event, so that was the only singles match we got to see for a big belt, and it was the Daniel Bryan versus the fucking Fiend. Live. And the kid next to us, all he cared about was seeing The Fiend and Drew McIntyre win that Royal Rumble. That was all he was there to see. And that kid walked away about as happy, because I was thinking, fuck, kid, sorry, I don't think Drew's winning this thing. And when he kicked Brock over the top rope, everyone started to believe. And I think, Tony, that's the main reason why you always give Drew a little bit more, because that was an incredible day at Royal Rumble. And so whenever
it was a real crowd reaction, it was whenever I give
Drew shit, like, really, your best comeback is Phil, fuck you, Royal Rumble 2020. He owned the whole fucking.
It's not even that. It's you were a part of those people cheering, and you.
Yes, I was. I will totally admit. Royal Rumble 2020, I was cheering for Drew McIntyre probably harder than anybody in that fucking building, okay? Like, other than the little fucking 9-year-old kid next to me who was there with a Drew McIntyre t-shirt on. That was the one kid that was more enthusiastic.
And that's why it'll always be a shame that his title reign, unfortunately, went the way it did. He had to win the belt in front of crickets, and then... like, sorry, we have crowds back and we've got to start this Roman thing, so you're just shit out of luck. They had opportunities, but he's right now in the midst of he needs to go away, be repackaged, come back as a heel.
Honestly, I think
you can't bring him back and be a heel against Roman. That's the other connection.
He's who you have unseat Rollins at Mania, or the next time they come back to the UK.
Fine with that. I just do it immediately, because Rollins is stale as fuck as the champ. Sorry, he is.
They need to give the first champion a pretty long reign. You know that.
No, you don't, because it's not a belt anybody respects, and longevity is not going to change that.
Like, if the next time you and I go to a live event, I'm going to be pretty. Like, if I had the chance to buy Roman's belt or Rollins' belt.
You'll buy the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Yes, I know.
Yes, I know.
So that being said, 8-man tag. Jesus Christ. See, okay. This is bullshit. God damn it, this is bullshit. This didn't sell it for me, because this honestly made me not want to buy the show. 8-man tag. AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR, Cash and Dax, and the Young Bucks, Maddie and Nikki Jackson. Why are they together on an 8-man tag match, even though they
because the
just did
Bucks need the
a
rub.
title match a week ago at All In. So now they're friends because they had such a great trilogy, and the Bucks are just so
I was
giving
about
that
to
they
say,
drop.
the Bucks are just so good at forgiving and forgetting. They
Yes.
let it all roll off their back.
And
They're
they
known
gave
for it.
FTR that win, that third win. I
Just
guarantee.
ask Punk. They let it all roll off their back. They're just
That's totally why they did laps in front of the Collision crowd. Victory. Yeah, that's great. The Bullet Club Gold is their opponent. Austin and Colton Gunn, Switchblade Jay White, and Juice. I actually love this team. I do. I love this team. Jay White and Juice Robinson versus FTR this year. Phil, I know you haven't watched it, but I'm telling you right now, that is your tag team match of the year.
okay.
So
I'll go
between
back
right
and watch
now,
it. Don't tell me who wins.
I'm not. September 4th, 2023, I'm telling you, you have from now until the end of the year to watch this match. It is the match of the year. And I will tell you again, right now, you and Chicken, you picked wrong last year. FTR was the team of the year in 2022.
Who did,
FTR,
I think we gave it to the Usos.
Yeah, you did. You did. And
I gotta stand by that, man.
You can stand by it, but I'm telling you, it's because the last third of the year, they turned it on as a team. Before that, the first 2/3 of the year, the Usos were afterthoughts. They were background characters. They were non-playable characters. They were just their part of the bloodline. They finally got to do some shit towards the latter of the year. Meanwhile, FTR's resume, I read it out on loud. It was incredible. And it included wins over fucking the Briscoes and the goddamn Rock and Roll Express, for fuck's sake.
We did ultimately give FTR tag match of the year, though.
That's fine. But I'm telling you, resume-wise, FTR were the better team. And unfortunately now, they're not having nearly as good a year, even though the AEW World Championships are around their waist. They're not having as good a year as a tag team this year. But they're probably still going to win it by fucking default.
Well, I was going to
say, the Usos are gone. And the Bucks could not mean less, which is why the Bucks have fucking handcuffed themselves to FTR in the last 2 pay-per-views.
Yep. But no, I'm going to say, as it stands right now, Tony, you're in terms of tag team of the year. Yeah, the FTR is the heavy favorite right now. There's still some year left to go, but they're the heavy favorite if all trajectories stay the same. And now, oddly enough, the one pushback I'm going to give you is, now I haven't watched the match that you've told me I need to, but
you must.
Right now, as it stands right now, my contender for tag team match of the year, I bet you probably already know what it is.
Oh, no, what?
It's pretty early in the year.
Early in the year? Oh, God.
It was a pretty big one.
Usos, Owens, Zayn.
Yep. That is my vote currently for tag team match.
It's the Usos main eventing WrestleMania. It's Sammy and Kevin winning on WrestleMania's main event. I get that. I can understand that sentiment, but
I will watch the match that you told me,
and
I will put it into.
I'm telling you.
But yeah, right now, Chicken's probably going to agree with me on that one, just because he's a mark.
Well, he's gonna, yeah. He's just gonna, yeah.
But anywho, so alrighty, let's.
I love this team. I'm telling you, I love this team. I love Austin Colton Gunn.
Love them.
And Switchblade and Rob Juice are just, yeah. I love them.
I feel like now I like what they're doing, but I do feel like we got robbed of an opportunity to have a trios championship run of Billy Gunn and his boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like I would have kind of liked to see that. Now maybe we'll culminate to that at some point, because that's really the only reason to have the belts around at this point, is to eventually put it on Billy. Now, granted, they're all feuding and shit, which I kind of like. Like, don't get me wrong. It's like, it's the best way that Billy Gunn can put his boys over, is feud with them.
So I'm sure this fucking show had like 20 matches. So I'll go through this quickly. Colton Cash chain wrestled. Austin got a blind tag, tripped up Cash. Dax and Jay White locked up, and he hits Dax with chops. Juice and Jay worked over Dax in the corner. Cash grabbed a tag, and FTR double teamed Jay White. Dax dodged cannonball from Juice. Matt Jackson smoked Juice with a super kick. Oh, he smoked him. The Bucks used a classic combo on Jay White. Oh, classic from the Bucks. Super kick party in Chicago, says Nigel. And the fans, oh my God. AEW's website went out of the way. This paragraph right here. Dax dodged a cannonball from Juice Robinson. Matt Jackson smoked Juice with a super kick. The Bucks used a classic combo on Jay White. Super kick party in Chicago, said Nigel. The fans chanted, Young Bucks,
no,
Young Bucks.
They did not, you lying sons of bitches. Oh,
none of this happened.
Like, what? Like,
there was no classic combo, for one.
You are not supposed to bear false witness, Tony Khan. This is what the fuck. Like, no one in Chicago, like, Young Bucks, they were going, you dumb fucks, dumb fucks, dumb. That's what they were saying.
I can believe the fans chanted, fuck the Young Bucks.
Or no, like
no,
the Young Bucks.
None of that happened.
Well, no, Tony, that's why they had to come out with FTR, because they knew they wouldn't walk out of that building without being covered in every piece of trash that there was. And also, when the Young Bucks came out, they were probably like, wow, everyone is just amazed by us.
Everybody's super stoked on us.
When the minute they look at us, they all go, ooh.
Oh my God.
Ooh. Oh, Tony, it gets better.
Oh, the highlighted text right there is the reason I didn't buy this fucking show. There we go.
Young Bucks. They were saying dumb fucks. I would almost bet.
And AEW fans have the audacity to accuse the WWE of piping in crowd noise when this is on their fucking website. Okay, AEW homers, this highlighted text. You're going to defend this? You're going to tell me this is accurate? You can fuck right off. Fuck right off. Matt and Cash dished out super kicks. Of course they did. Matt and Dax stuffed Austin with a spike pile driver. Dax superplexed Austin and Cash. Matt and Nick all hit high-risk moves off the top turnbuckles on Austin. Dax and Austin rattled each other with double clotheslines. The fans chanted, AEW, AEW. Bet they didn't. I bet they didn't. Dax and Jay traded chops. Dax walloped Jay with a short arm lariat. Juice saved Jay from the Shatter Machine. Nick and Dax hit the Shatter Machine.
They're probably saying, mother fuck you. Mother fuck you.
Matt and Dax grabbed Jay and bashed him with the BTE trigger. Colton made the save, breaking up the pin attempt. Jay White hit the Blade Runner on Cash, and Austin was there to pin him. So the Bucks and FTR lose. I don't remember who I think I had the Bullet Club Gold on this one. So I think I got this one. Just because I didn't expect the Bucks and FTR to work together well. Because fallout from their match.
I had them just because, I didn't figure the Bucks were going to do a job again.
Well, that's 2 jobs in a row. So this is Phil, this is the Bucks just proving that their company, man, losing in Chicago. Even though Cash took the
Now everybody,
the champion that beat them the week before.
This is when you know that everybody in the company knows that. What's that?
Thank God it's main event time.
Well, I was going to say, this is how you're going to know that everybody in the company knows that shit's about to go down and they're about to file for Chapter 11, or they're just going to shut the company down and sell out to McMahon, is when they put the world championship on one of the fucking Young Bucks. Yeah,
Matt.
when they put the world title on Matt Jackson.
Yeah.
Which, how long do you give that?
Year and a half
until Matt Jackson is AEW world champion.
And when that happens, I will stop watching AEW. Telling you now.
Okay.
Because now Matt Jackson is a rancid piece of shit.
Now, there's somebody in this main event that I would like to see become AEW world champion, but let's move on to that.
I just realized it's main event time, and there's only one match that I knew about on this card. And now I'm realizing in this moment that it was the main event.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
put the AEW World Champion on in the opening match of the pay-per-view. You fired the other quote-unquote world champion days before this event in his hometown. So your answer to fill that void in the main event, which would have been Punk and Starks, is to put John garbage piece of shit fucking Moxley
Versus
versus
freshly
AEW
squeezed,
International Champion freshly squeezed
Orange Cassidy. Yes, and I did watch this, and
fuck you. This is another match that made me go, no, I don't want to watch this show. Because I was afraid of something like this.
Like this was
being
like
the
a
main event.
greatest hits of Orange Cassidy and John Moxley. I don't know how else to like.
And here's the best part. This match only happened because the champion of the match had to earn the chance to defend it against John Moxley by beating one of his friends. Because friends.
I gave this 3.75.
Fuck you. Oh, fuck you. I just threw the belt. Fuck you. No, fuck you. 3.75. Fuck you.
I'm a fucking giant mark for Orange Cassidy.
So you watched this. You watched this shit show.
I did. It was
enjoyable. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Oh, pockets. Did you know, Tony, at one point he put his hands into his pockets. He hit the kicks. He actually did okay, Tony, I know you hate Orange Cassidy, but what his real skill is,
I hate him.
He makes you believe. He makes you believe that he could fucking win this shit.
I hate the fact that he can't evolve. This guy does have some athleticism. He doesn't have size. The look is the slum look. I get that. I can appreciate the dedication to the gimmick, even though the gimmick is insulting to the business. I appreciate the dedication, but I've seen it. And it's not grown. And it surely didn't deserve a long title run of supposedly a secondary or third dairy title or fourth dairy, because there's so many fucking titles in this company. But Jesus, the main event of All Out in Chicago, after you fire Punk, Tony Khan decides, this is a bad situation. I think the best course of action, main event, it's clearly got to be the guy that I dress up as for Halloween. It's got to be Orange Cassidy and John Moxley, who likes to stick wooden spikes in his head.
Now, Tony, here's the thing. Yes, John Moxley putting spikes in his head is dumb as shit. And it always will be. But you always seem to give Tony Khan a hard time for dressing as one of his own wrestlers for Halloween. And to me, no, that's one of the few things I'm going to actually credit him on. Okay? Because that's just self-promotion to the most perfect degree. Fuck you. That is beautiful. That's just the rest of the show for the next 10 minutes. No, fuck you. No. Fuck you. It's just.
Fuck you.
Tony's not having that.
Oh my God. So I want to read this a little bit because I can't imagine what AEW's description.
I love the first line here.
Cassidy was playing mind games, not looking at challenger Moxley. Orange went to put his hands in his pockets, and Mox decked him. Mox stalked Cassidy, giving him no time to breathe. Wait, what? Wait, what? Moxley stalked Cassidy, giving him no time to breathe. I don't think you understand what the word stalk
No,
means.
read the next sentence.
Moxley bit the head of Orange Cassidy. Jesus fucking.
Like I said, it was a Moxley match.
Of course it was a Moxley match. It's the only one he knows how to have. Him and Mil Moscaris. Cassidy fired back with a shotgun dropkick. Mox superplexed Orange, and Orange immediately clutched his neck. Okay. Mox sent Cassidy flying with a second suplex. Orange connected with a diving cross body. Mox rolled through and stomped Orange's head. Great. Orange flew at Mox with an elbow suicida. Mox countered with a DDT, turning him inside out. Moxley took his boots to Orange's head. Moxley mauled Cassidy, whipping him into the steel ring post. Cassidy was split open. Moxley bit Orange's forehead. Jesus fucking Christ. Again? He bit him again.
Yep.
It's like a
Trying to
big
get him
boot
open.
for Hulk Hogan.
And guess what? He was. Turns
Orange
out he was a
Cassidy
blood orange.
Orange Cassidy. God, fuck you. Orange Cassidy is gushing, says Nigel. There's a pool of blood at our feet, added Excalibur. Moxley spiked Orange with a stalling piledriver for a near fall. Moxley battered Orange with a clubbing shot. Orange dug his nails into Moxley's back and then hit Orange's head. Orange cracked Mox with a diving DDT and then a second DDT. Oh my God. Double moves. I'm not going to read any of that. I'm not going to read this. Moxley pulled a protective padding off the floor, exposing the concrete. Mox tried for pile driver. Orange counters into a beach break on the floor. Orange dropkick Moxley's head into the steps.
And then this is when I started to believe, Tony.
Fuck you. Orange cracked Moxley with two straight orange punches. Orange punches. Orange went for a third, but Moxley countered with a cutter. Orange hit another orange punch and then speared Moxley for a near fall. Moxley then dropped trow and made Orange Cassidy suck his cock live in the ring on pay-per-view. Orange
no, it says it nearly decapitated Orange with two King Kong.
Regardless of the cock sucking, I'm just saying this is what happened.
Moxley smashed Orange with the death ride for a near fall, and I was like, no, all hope is lost. Not Orange Cassidy. He'll be able to. No. And then when he kicks out, I'm like, hope is still alive. Here.
And then Orange flipped off Moxley. Moxley grabbed Orange and spiked him with a high angle death rider and pinned Cassidy. New champion of the International, not the All Atlantic, which is not Atlantic, recognized John Moxley.
Hang on. Bandit goes, bit him, so he is kin to Mike Tyson. No, he looks like he's kin to Mario the plumber.
I'm more impressed with what they had the balls to put in bold text after that. Missed what the entire wrestling world is buzzing about? Order the replay of the historic AEW All Out 2023. It's available on all traditional cable and satellite providers in the United States, Canada, Bleacher Report, Fight International, and payperview.com.
And the last ever performance of CM Punk in AEW was the biggest sellout crowd of all time.
Yeah.
And it'll be the biggest crowd they ever have. And you think CM Punk's not going to be able to get into WWE on that? And Tony, before we...
So there's two matches on this entire show that I would have actually paid to see. And I am glad that I decided, you know what? Chicken's unavailable. Phil's spot, hit and miss. I'm not feeling it. I'm pissed they fired Punk for a guy that, quite frankly, will never make it in the business. I'm boycotting this show. Now, it's not like I went to Twitter or got on YouTube and went on a rant and said, hey, you should boycott this show with me. I just decided it wasn't worth $50 considering they didn't do a good job promoting the show with a week to go. Folks. And then what they filled it in with did not do it. And there's two matches I went, my God, I would like to watch that. That's Takeshita Omega. And now that I know it happened, Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks. Two matches out of them all. And I'm pretty sure I only missed maybe two matches.
I enjoyed, I really actually hate to say I enjoyed Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin.
Hey, I know. Great. That was a fucking Dynamite match. I'm not paying for pay-per-view to see that.
True. No. And like really, the thing that was worth seeing it more than anything was Tony Khan sitting in that chair having to explain
tertiary
himself.
And quaternary, says Bandit. Bit him? Is he kin to Mike Tyson? No, he's not kin to Mike Tyson because he bit the forehead. It was not the earlobe or the cartilage. It was the forehead. So who bites a forehead? There's got to be somebody out there famous who bites a forehead. Or it should be DJT's wrestling name.
Donald J. Trump.
He's not wrong. Well, no. Hang on, Bandit. Hang on.
Orange Avenger.
No. Donald Trump, he's not orange. He's peach.
Peaches, 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 peaches. Well done.
Phil, it's more like impeachment, 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 impeachment,
impeachment.
impeachment. Anyway, so that was AEW All Out, and it was fucking terrible from all accord. I actually will go back and watch Omega Takeshita because for all the shit that I gave that, I just love the fact that Omega's ridiculous and Takeshita's name is so easy to make fun of. Top to bottom, that was the match that I looked at and went, I really do want to see that match. And I've given Omega a ton of crap over the years. I made fun of Takeshi's name, but like honestly, even reading that, I'm like, I could tell this was probably pretty fucking good. And now that I know Starks and Danielson happened, I'm pissed that I didn't see that. But again, what was going to sell me? The Bucks and FTR pretending to like each other in an 8-man tag, or Kingston and whatever the fuck versus whoever the fuck and whoever the fuck with 8 titles and nobody else, and a women's match that we're all friends but we're not friends, and then Moxley and fucking Orange Cassidy in the main event for a belt that doesn't matter, that they had to change the name of because even their own fans went, this is fucking ridiculous. You don't know geography. No, I'm sorry. This is insulting. You held a show, a record-setting show, a week ago during a proper weekend, and you still felt obligated to hold this show in CM Punk's hometown and then fire it and hold this show and insult us with the card that I just described. And you're going to tell me Tony Khan's a brilliant booker of the year, and AEW has longevity appeal. Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Ooh.
Only AEW fans. I'm telling you, now is the time to become a wrestling fan. And I'm not talking WWE. I'm talking be a wrestling fan. Because I'm still here to tell you, I have not watched more than 1 or 2 full episodes of Raw or SmackDown since The Miz was eaten alive by zombies on pay-per-view.
When Tony puts his foot down, it's kind of it takes a while to walk him back off that. So Tony, okay, overall on a 5-star scale, how would you rate Payback?
Payback on a star scale, I'd give it a 3.35.
Okay.
Because I expected more. I was a little disappointed, but the matches were all pretty good.
AEW, I would probably give 3.25 because the bad was bad, the good was really good, and by that I mean such good vitamin C from Freshly Squeezed.
Had I not watched either event and I only read the descriptions of both, I'd give Payback a 3.5. And I'd look at what AEW wrote about its own show and I'd go, you are fucking full of shit. And I'm telling you, they're fucking full of shit. And I didn't even watch it. They're fucking full of shit. And I give it 2.5.
They might be a little bit full of shit.
And that's all 2 matches. That's all on 2 matches.
Tony, in terms of backstage drama on a 5-star scale, what would you give the CM Punk debacle?
First, we better answer Bandit's question.
Do any of their women wrestlers have an OnlyFans? Well, I'm going to turn this over to the expert.
I mean, I can probably drop you some links, Bandit. Let's leave it.
That sounds like an after show.
I may be a connoisseur, but I'm also a cheap ass, so I'm not like paying for that shit.
Yeah, Tony's like a detective when it comes to that.
Yeah. I'm the Batman when it comes to professionals' OnlyFans accounts, so we can talk about that later.
Now,
folks, but yeah, no, in terms of the CM Punk drama, this is, if any of it is a worked conspiracy to where people benefit, in a perfect world, this Punk drama was Punk seeing the writing on the wall, seeing that, yeah, he barely punished the Elite. He himself got super punished. And when he came back and things were supposed to get better, they were going to clear the air, possibly work together and make a lot of fucking money and make AEW a name. and then the dipshits decided to cancel that. He saw the writing on the wall and went, first chance I get, I'm going to make them fucking fire me. And he took the first chance he got, and it was one of their lackeys, Jungle Jack Perry, who couldn't win a fight out of a wet paper bag, and he got terminated. And now, for all intents and purposes, Paul Levesque may hold a grudge. Vince McMahon may hold a grudge. Actually, that's not even true. Vince McMahon does not hold a grudge when it comes to
he can make money with you. Oh, and the Fox Network the Fox Network wants Punk bad.
So yeah, Paul will bury the hatchet with Punk. Punk will probably be at the Royal Rumble if they can make this all work out, and it probably will.
He might be on Monday Night Raw tonight.
I mean, no. This is all going to be. None of this is going to end in a. I'm sorry, like everybody I'm reading on Facebook. Oh, the disease is out of the locker room. Finally, we can get back to great wrestling. You're losing your biggest draw. You're killing Collision's ratings. You're taking away people that would actually be able to work with some of the people that you want to see them work with and ruining potential storylines. This is not good for AEW's longevity, even if you think it is. Like, again, Punk's a dick. He's impossible to work with, but the motherfucker draws money. He's a great goddamn wrestler. If you try to get along with him, you show him some respect, he'll work with you. It's not that fucking hard. AEW has essentially harmed themselves long-term here. Whether you want to admit it or not, that's what has happened here. And Tony Khan has proven that he will not even back the Bucks and Omega, but cater to them. This is not Tony Khan's company. This is Matt and Nick Jackson and Kenny Omega's company. And that's the problem. And that's why this will ultimately implode.
Unfortunately,
and that's why they stayed. All the people believe in the rumors. Oh, they're going to leave. They weren't going to fucking leave. And this is why. Because they've got this guy and his checkbook to do whatever the fuck they want.
But yeah, like you said, this is a purely self-inflicted wound, Tony. You're absolutely correct in that regard. Like, man, this is ultimate. Like, this is going to be basically the turning point where things either go down or they somehow turn around. Tony, to the people that said they have. All right. Well, Tony,
before we go, I do want to give one thing. I had one thing. It's a list, Phil, and we're going to clip this down. I just wanted to read off a list I've been holding off on real quick. There's been a lot of opportunity in AEW to do a lot of really special, memorable, landmark things in the wrestling business. Matches that they could have done, but they just decided they didn't want to. And now, for the second time in some cases, that opportunity is fucking gone and it's never coming back. So here are 10 matches that AEW should have done when they had the chance. And I say 10, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 matches, because I've added a few. The Elite versus the Undisputed Era. Because at one time you had all the members of the Undisputed Era either on the record being employed or about to be. And you've always had 3 or 4 members of the Elite. The Bucks, Omega, and Page. You could have done that 8-man tag or that 6-man tag, but you didn't. And you teased it, but you didn't do it. That would have drawn so hard from those hardcore NXT fans. Didn't do it. You've had Ibushi show up a couple of times now. When are you going to do Omega versus Ibushi? At Forbidden Door 2024? You fucking better. Because the longer you wait, the less appealing that's going to get. Because the more wear and tear Omega's going to have, and the less good Ibushi looks in the ring. And we just saw that at AEW All In. Omega versus Okada. Why are we not doing this again? It's always good. It's going to get less good the longer you wait. Okada's come in. What are you doing? Singles match. Okada, Omega. Meltzer will give it 8 fucking stars, guaranteed. Why are you not doing that? That's
Doesn't
a
matter
buy
how
rate
good it
pay-per-view.
is.
No, it could suck and it will still get 5. Jericho versus Punk.
Oh.
Why the fuck?
Oh. It's the last chance we'll ever get to see that.
That will never happen now. Jericho Punk, even though Jericho's like, I don't want to work with it. Yes, he did. Yes, he fucking did. And you know he did. The Hardys versus FTR. When you brought the Hardys in, you had the chance to do the Hardys versus the Bucks, and they finally did it, and it meant nothing because they'd already put the Hardys under. They kind of got him back over, and then Jeff's stuff. Not going to have the shine it once had. They could still do the Hardys versus FTR, but at this point, I don't even think I want to see it. The window was there, and then it closed. So now when you do it, it's probably going to suck. This one means a lot to me. Malachi Aleister Black versus Don't You Call Him Buddy Murphy. They had one of the greatest 3-series matches of all time in WWE history. Black won them all, and it led to Murphy joining Seth Rollins and AOP. But their matches were legendarily good and always got a standing ovation. That's how good these are. You got both these guys, and you got Murphy, and you immediately put him in a group with Black. Why are you wasting these two men? You put them against each other on a pay-per-view. It doesn't have to be your main event, but almost guaranteed it will get as much, if not more, interest and buys as the main event of that show, because that's how good these two guys are in the ring together. Their chemistry, almost unparalleled. It's so good. It can go 5 minutes, it could go 20, it could go an hour, and it's still going to be good, no matter how long it goes, no matter who wins. That's how good these guys are together, and you're wasting it. You're not doing it. Bryan Danielson versus Cody Rhodes. What the fuck? Two of the greatest living wrestlers, actual wrestlers right now. This didn't happen. This did not happen. Why did this not happen? I don't care who's the babyface. 2 baby faces. Both. I don't care. Just do this match. It writes itself. The story would have been incredible because both guys are such good storytellers, and turns out pretty damn good professional wrestlers. Who fucking knew? We didn't do that, though. We didn't do that because we had to do, like, Danielson joining the Blackpool Combat Club instead. Right? Yeah, that shit's more important. This money match. CM Punk versus, I don't know, Kenny Omega. Pretty sure that would have drawn money, even before the fallout, and especially after the fallout. Kenny Omega, if you could have gotten him in a room with Punk, they could have worked shit out to the point where they could have worked and had a match, and it would have been gangbusters. Put them in a fucking Iron Man match. That's your pay-per-view. Doesn't matter what else is on the card. CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, that's a show in itself. And they both would have put their all into it. Because regardless of what you say about Kenny Omega being an actor wrestler, a play wrestler, the guy is talented. And CM Punk would have gotten everything out of him. And they both would have given each other everything. It would have been a fantastic match. Match of the year contender. But no. They didn't do it. And you'll never get to see it now. Punk versus Cody. This could still happen under a different banner. And now how great is it going to be when it fucking does? CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. Do I really need to say anything? That is a match in itself. That is a WrestleMania main event level attraction, and it's going to sting all that more to the fucking fans that don't want to admit that I didn't want to see it. Yes, you fucking did, but you wanted to see it at Double or Nothing. You didn't want to see it at WrestleMania, and now your mangina hurts. I'm sorry, not sorry. Cody Rhodes versus Kenny Omega. Cody Rhodes versus Kenny Omega coming in at number 2.
They never did that?
They never fucking did that. Kenny Omega versus Cody Rhodes, the 2 stalwart single wrestlers of the Elite in a one-on-one match. They never fucking did it. And now it will not happen. They were building towards this. They had chances to do this. But Cody was always more interested in convoluting his own side stories from aside from the Elite. Now we know why. And Kenny Omega was always more interested in doing trios matches or booking the women's division into the fucking ground. This would have been, it wouldn't have been Punk Omega level good, but the chemistry that these two guys had, the story may have been better. The Elite versus the Elite kind of storyline arc would have been great, and Cody would have played into that perfectly, and Omega would have poured his heart and soul into it. This would have been so fucking good. And now you will never see it because Tony Khan decided Punk should wrestle Kingston and I shouldn't fight to keep Cody, and Omega should be a trio star. Like, so many bad decisions were made leading up to these departures and these firings and everything else. Like, this is a match you'll probably never see. Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega. They wanted to do it from day one. They're like, let's slow play this. And now it's too late. And I feel cheated. But not as cheated as I feel for the number 1 match on this list. And I honestly am more pissed off about this than anything. Because the number 1 match on this 12-match list of AEW matches that should have happened Bryan Danielson versus CM Punk.
Oh.
They had the chance.
A place where they could do their artwork, not their money work.
This wasn't about the money. No, never was. Both these guys came in about the same time. Punk came in, he returned, and they started doing a yes chant during that original return promo. And he even said, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for him. And it made their hearts melt. And then when he finally did debut at the All Out pay-per-view where Punk made his in-ring return, at the end of the show, Bryan Danielson shows back up. Now they're both on the roster. They can do that match, but they're both baby faces. So we got to wait a minute. We got to wait a minute. All right, fine. You don't want to waste the momentum. I get it. But then they turned Danielson heel anyway. They're like, oh! It's so they can do the Punk Danielson match. Fantastic. That makes perfect sense because, Punk, they don't want to boo Punk, but Danielson, like, he's good at it. He's really good at it, turns out. He can be a really nasty heel if he sets his mind to it. So, yeah, okay. Danielson heel, Punk face, or they could flip-flop it. If they really want to do something weird and dastardly with Punk, they could make him the heel and Danielson's a safe. Oh, they could go so many different ways with this. Or they could even do babyface versus babyface if they don't want to wait. Because I don't want to wait. I want to see it now. And then, a year later, the Elite charged into Punk's locker room. All of them got stripped of their belts, but only Punk left for a long time. And then they announced another show about 9 months or so later, Collision on Saturdays, and Punk's coming back. Like, oh, I thought we missed that window. I thought we missed that opportunity. Thank God. Bryan Danielson, he's doing this Blackpool comeback. It won't matter because they've got to do that match. Like, that's an all-out match, right? That's your main event for All Out or Full Gear if you want to slow play it. Perfect. I can get on board. They're going to do Punk Danielson. And then Danielson did nothing. And then he got hurt. And Punk, when he came back, he just really kind of feuded with Samoa Joe, which he wanted to do. That's a passion project. And then Starks and the Elite just kind of found ways to drive Punk out after the return. And Punk saw opportunities to get out, and took a couple sucker punches, and found his way out the door. And now Danielson's not going to leave AEW, and he'll probably retire there. And Punk may just retire or go back to WWE. And you will never get to see CM Punk versus Bryan Danielson. Now, anybody that wants to clamor and argue and insist that Tony Khan is Booker of the Year or the greatest promoter or a genius wrestling mind, all I have to do is tell you that for 2 years straight, Tony Khan had CM Punk and Bryan Danielson on his roster. And not only did they never interact, they never had a match. A one-on-one match that would have been a 10-star match, would have drawn gangbusters, could have been feud of the year, match of the year, Meltzer scale-breaking match to end all matches. And he didn't do it. He didn't pull the trigger because long-term booking or some stupid fucking reason that a bunch of homers are going to try to come up with. No, fuck you. This match should have happened within 3 months of both of them being on the roster, and it didn't. And I will never, ever, ever forgive Tony Khan and AEW for that.
Oh, damn.
And we will clip that down, and that will.
Oh yeah, there's nothing more to be said there, folks. As I'm known to say around here, all that being said, well fucking said there, Tony G. I feel robbed of this travesty. Now, folks, if you want to keep this party going, I'm dropping right now in the comments. This is the link to the after party right here. Definitely check it out. It's in all the comments. Just click that link and you can join me, Phil K.O.E., for a bit of a chill stream after party. But, folks, thank you for joining us here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast here on YouTube and Spotify. I am the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes you the podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, and one damn handsome man if I do say so myself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., which you can find me over at K.O.E. Nation very shortly on YouTube and Twitch. You also find me on TikTok and Twitter, and I am signing off and handing it off to my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only,
the quadruple distilled, non-chill filtered, 15-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, Tony fucking G. You can find me at TikTok, Tony the Rod, Instagram, Tony the Rod. I believe on Twitter/X at Tony the Rod, and any of the denizens of the Big Buckin' Empire at Linktree/Big Buckin'. And folks, again, I'm sorry we didn't get to go in depth with every event, but I felt like this was more appropriate with the given news and the way that they set these pay-per-views up, promoted them, and put them in a weekend that was inconvenient for general people like ourselves. Everyone, really. And it annoys me. And we've only got a few events left in the year, and we're gonna do everything in our power to give you every ounce of our energy to commit ourselves to them. And I have some ideas in mind, and I promise you, hit the like, share, and subscribe button, especially to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, because we're going to end the year on a high note no matter what happens with both companies. I will give you my all, our all.
Yeah, folks, you ain't seen nothing yet.
We've got more.
The year in review is actually one of my favorite shows we do all year. Honestly, it's like, I remember last year was a real rough year, and that was the one bright spot. It's like, hey, I get to do a year in review of wrestling. And so, folks, I want you all to join us for that, amongst many other things. And if you're seeing this for the first time, let us know in the comments who is your picks for Wrestler of the Year and everything of the year. But, folks, I hope all of you also join me over at K.O.E. Nation this evening. We're going to have us a fun time. But, Tony?
I've got nothing else to say. Please, Phil's going to do some fun stuff. There's plenty more to be seen live on all the socials, the Twitches, the Facebooks, the YouTubes, everything. So Phil's got the link in the comments. If you want to go ahead and drop it on screen one more time before I hit the outro, you can find me at the Linktree/Big Buckin', the Dog and Chicken Show. We've taken a bit of a hiatus here over the last few weeks, and I don't know that that's going to change over the next few weeks. We're coming up on episode 200, but things are out of our power, and we're gonna fill that void as best as we can. I know Hazard Analysis is taking a bit of a hiatus. That could potentially fill the void of the Dog and Chicken show here for a few weeks. We'll see what happens there. And I always bitch about my plate being full, but I'm about to take on some more responsibilities in the podcasting world, and we'll talk about that coming up soon enough. Won't get into it here, but yeah, especially hit like, share, and subscribe on the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, because we've got a few events left in the year, and I'd hate for you to miss out, because believe it or not, even after everything we've said here tonight, we are passionate about the wrestling business, always have been, and it really is something that's near and dear to our hearts. And I'd hate to miss for anybody who agrees, disagrees, or can't stand our takes to miss out on them. So please, the banter's appreciated. We love everybody who watches, who interacts, and we will catch you on the next one. Folks, can't wait to see you next time. Love you. This was Payback, All Out, and the CM Punk drama. We'll see you next time.
And see if it just smooths itself out.
Back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost, we gotta take it down.